Hey, everybody. We are live from the lit garage here in the greater Portland area. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you. So today, as you know, it is going to be a little bit of double team action here. We're going to talk about a super important topic to me, escape. And as you know, this handsome devil here has been talking to sources, secret sources, about Mr. Jason Jordan, aka William, aka Beard McGee, of the security force there at PAC, and apparently he is ready to go. Are you hearing anything different lately after you made your last live about that, or?
No, in fact, I've been hearing even more from people who actually know him that he's been wanting to leave the Sea Org for like 10 years.
Oh my God.
It's like it's not something his seniors or even HCO doesn't know about. In fact, does it surprise you or not surprise you? Maybe you can explain it to me a little bit.
Yeah.
Usually if someone's got doubts about the Sea Org, they don't keep them on important posts or
like security, public facing. No, in fact, it's an out qualification for HCO, which security is in, to not want to be there. It's literally the first out qualification for the Hubbard Communications Office is not wanting to be there. So,
yeah.
like, not being in the Sea Org would also equal Division 1, Department 1. So, like, yeah, I don't know why. I mean, this is how desperate they are for people now. They were desperate when we were in, and they were recruiting, and they can't even, who are they recruiting now? The kids are too young that are hanging around the schools, and we're all over the place. And by we, I'm using the royal we, protesters and things like that. And it's like, how are they going to get this fresh meat in there? They can't get raw public to come in and work because, Streets and them effectively shut that down at the test center. So where are all the new recruits coming from? I mean, it doesn't surprise me that they are desperately trying to keep him on. Even when I was leaving the RPF, Alex Duvall, not Duvall, because he was in security.
Myers.
Alex Myers, thank you. Came to the Extended Stay America where they were holding me while they were doing my final checks, and showed up in a security car with the lights on and on the and talked to me over the loudspeaker. Was like, Nora, come outside, come out, Nora, come outside, like yelling to a whole hotel of people, like just complete idiot. So I go outside, I'm like, I'm staying here. Like they're gonna kick me out. And he's like, okay, are you just gonna get over your dramatizing your case and just get back on post or what? And finish the RPF. And at that moment, I knew, like, I'm this close to not being able to leave. And so there was a huge part of me that was like, I better stay. I don't want to mess everything up. But I took all of my willpower to be like, no, I'm done. And then he like shoved me away from the car window and was like, well, fuck you then. And then left. And I was like, wow. So hanging on to this guy, he must be the only security guard that actually has a guard card. That's my only guess.
What do you mean a guard? What's a guard card?
So a guard card in California, in Oregon, even as a security guard of any kind, you have to get certified and you have to get, hold this card that's basically a license to be a security guard. And then other people often operate under like the main guard's license as trainees.
Wow. I didn't know that.
The one that has a guard card, they're screwed.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Here's something. Just let's chew on this for a moment.
Yeah.
I'm going to say some things about Jason Jordan or speculate some things or question some things that are similar to what I've said, speculate, and thought about Shelley Miscavige. If David Miscavige was terrified at the damage Shelley could do if she escaped, not just from the Sea Org, but Scientology and started talking to the press or whatever. If he was terrified of Shelley escaping, let's put our brilliant brains together and go, what is the best way to make sure that someone who's been in Scientology her whole life and is loyal to L. Ron Hubbard doesn't escape? It's to make sure she doesn't want to escape. How do you make sure she doesn't want to escape? treat her as good as possible.
Right.
You would think that would be the obvious solution. And I recognize that that's not how it works in the Sea Org. But in moments of desperation, though, it could be. And I feel like I'm just going to fucking ramble about this, because it blows my mind that when you have someone like Jason Jordan, or even, the security chief, Parker Osmond, or God forbid, Ryan Boswell. Ryan Boswell was the security chief when you and I were there.
God, yeah.
Why, when you have these people in positions of authority or trust, Julian Schwartz is another good example.
Right.
And they know all the dirt, and they're close to David Miscavige. And if you're David Miscavige, you're like, I want these people to be here forever. Why would you not treat them as well as you possibly could? Why would you not make them feel special? Why would you send Jason Jordan's wife off to Clearwater? What does a Sea Org member have to live for on some level, a married Sea Org member, other than seeing their spouse every day? Like,
nothing.
It boggles the mind how someone, this speaks to what it means to be a cult leader and to be in a cult. That they're actually motivated by some sort of an intent to harm, to control, to restrict, to minimize, to make small. Like, it's what drives David Miscavige, because it's how he treats the people he needs the most.
Yeah. No,
and it shows you there's something twisted up there.
Well, it's typical cult leader 101, right? Like, I have to watch the last episode, but I'm watching the 7M TikTok dance cult documentary that's on Netflix. Okay. This is a real thing. Like, you're like, look at me like, there's a TikTok dance cult. There is. Okay. Like, if you can make something, you can make it culty. But basically, this guy started a version of Christianity, like his own little church, Shekinah. And then when his sister and a bunch of people left after SA accusations, he had to figure out how to keep making money, because he had like a billionaires club. He had all this other stuff. And so then, because this guy is like, stays on trends, he's like, look at all these TikTok dancers with all these followers. I'm going to make a production company. And so he makes 7M, the production company, and starts like grabbing onto these youth TikTok dancers. And then is also like, it's like a dual thing for them, because they're like, oh, I grew up Christian and I've been meaning to find a church here in LA since I moved here. And, and he's like, oh, well, I'm a man of God, blah, 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 blah. So he starts, and it's the classic high control group situation, like brings them in, isolation, cut off the family. All profits go through their control. Like, move them into their own houses that he owns, like the whole nine, right? So this TikTok documentary is following one particular family where these two sisters were like TikTok famous and YouTube famous, just dancing. And all of a sudden, one sister got into this cult and is now not out. But the parents, obviously these people are adults, right? So the parents called the human trafficking hotline during the documentary. And this really made me think. They were like, we're desperate to see our daughter again. What do we do? And the person on the hotline was basically like, listen, because they're an adult and they're not asking for help, there's nothing we can do. And the parents were like, but we're loving parents and we want to save our daughter from this cult. Like, isn't there something that we can do? And the person's like, no. And it was such a shocking moment, but such a like revealing moment for me too, in dealing with like Scientology and these people inside, because it really is a choice. So if you have somebody, as an example, like Jason Jordan, who's making his desire to leave known, this isn't like a secret. Like, we all walked around with the secret for a while of like, I got to get out of this place. It's crazy. But he's making it known, like, I want out. And they're not letting him leave, as we all have experienced, where one time, guys, I put myself on the leaving staff routing form. There's a routing form for everything, okay? Which is a checklist of items that you have to do in order to complete that action. And way deep in the HCO archives, there is a routing form called leaving staff routing form. This is right after my father passed. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I have to leave the Sea Org. I was beyond depressed, guys, beyond depressed.
And this was before the RPF or on the RPF?
No, I was on staff. I was on post as the word clear, but I was like literally every day just thinking about how I could die. Like, that's 24/7. I was so suicidal and so depressed, but I didn't have words for that at the time. Obviously, we were just, we were in the Sea Org. So it was just like I felt down stat and that I couldn't produce. And, like I was just in this blame, spiral. So I pulled out the routing form and I filled it out. And then I put it on the HAS's desk, the HCO area secretary, which is what you're supposed to do. That's your only point of contact, right? The next day, I get called in by Dave Pettit, okay, the CO Celebrity Center, and he holds it up in my face, and he's like, "What the fuck is this shit?" And I was like, "I'm trying to. It's the routing form. I'm doing the routing form because I want to leave." And he's like, he just tears it up in front of my face, like into tiny little pieces and throws it at me. He goes, "If you think for 1 second that I'm letting a golden age of tech word clear walk out of here on her own volition," oh, actually, I was the recruiter at the time, "then you have got another thing coming." That was another conversation I had with him after I was trained. But this is before I went to Flag. This was, Aaron, I arrived in November at Flag. My father passed in October. In October, I tried to leave the Sea Org via the routing form. And then so that I had a production record because they had to route me out of HCO because now I didn't want to be there. I got demoted to tech. And then they put me on as a book one auditor so I could get a production record to go to Flag for training the next month. Do you know what a scandal it was?
That's where we met.
I tried to leave, and then they sent me on the TTC.
That's where little Aaron and little Nora met.
Where baby us met.
Do you know what I was just reminded of?
What?
My name spelled backwards is Nora.
That's right, guys. We are connected always.
Your name spelled backwards is Aaron.
That's right. You never noticed that?
No, I just forgot.
Oh, I was like, wait a minute.
No, I remember one time I did a whole mental exercise of trying to figure out how to say my whole name backwards, and it's Nora Hiddams-Nivel. Backwards, but still Aaron Smith-Levin. Aaron is Nora, Smith is Hiddams, and Levin is Nivel. Aaron Hiddams-Nivel. This is what people tune in to find out for real. That's
you know what you
really
want to even know what's more ironic? So when we all lived at the Wilcox, they furnished it with IKEA stuff, and you could get Nora pillows, Beth towels, and Sova sheets. So my entire name, everyone was like, "Well, I'm sleeping with Nora Sova too," and I was like, "You guys, it's not a good look for me. It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad."
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. No, it's Sova means sleepy or like owl or wise person. It means so many things in Slavic languages, but it wasn't even my real family name anyway, so I don't care. The joke is funny. Yeah.
Speaking of random things that have nothing to do with our content, someone recently asked me what's wrong with my fingers. Have you noticed that I have weird pinkies?
I've noticed that the whole time I've known you.
Okay, so I was telling Jenna about this, and she's like, "I really don't think they're talking about your pinkies." And I was like, "Well, what the hell else would they be talking about?" And she said, "You have crooked ring fingers."
Yeah, that too. Your hands are like, see, if I, we can all, like, my pinkies stick out a little bit, so I have to like keep them together. But like,
Nora, if you think my hands are weird,
you
should see my. If you think my hands are weird, you should see my feet.
Do you have like finger toes?
No,
my youngest has finger toes. They're really long. You
can't see my little toe because my little toe kind of hides underneath the toe.
Mine is the like pinky.
And then like the toe next to the big toe is longer than the big toe, and it's not entirely straight. I definitely don't have pretty feet. I'm not a foot model. You never confuse me for a foot model.
I don't know. Somebody out there might be like, "That's what I'm looking for. That's what I need in my life is those feet."
Yeah. And it wasn't until Flag at one exercise muster when we were out there one morning and I was wearing my flip-flops that for the first time in my life, someone said, "What's wrong with your feet?" I said, "What are you talking about?" And they go, "Your feet are all fucked up." I go, "This is no one had ever told me there was anything unusual about my feet before." Now you might be thinking, had you never seen anyone else's feet before? And I'm like, I don't know. I just thought everyone else had weird feet and mine were the normal ones.
Right? I mean, when we were kids, I wasn't like staring at my feet all the time. My pinkies do the thing where they hide also. So it's like, It's like, whatever. I mean,
And
we
then
were all holding the cans and stuff. So I think we got like, and now I have a weird hand from like putting my pinky under my phone to like hold it up. So that's like made my pinkies weird. We're all going to get like phone hand, but you have big hands. So you can just hold your gargantuan phone, by itself, and then it's fine. I can't. I have to, if I'm going to do something with my thumb, I have to like put a finger under there. So yeah, I don't know. It's weird. But
yeah, when someone asks me what's wrong with my feet, I say I'm built for speed. It's aerodynamic.
They're like speed in the water. They're like flippers.
Less drag, less toes, less drag. The toes are all there. They're just not all easy to see.
Right? Yeah. No, it's all good. I mean,
have you ever seen a photo of LeBron James's feet? I was like, no, I don't have the weirdest feet. I was like, I do not have the weirdest feet.
I don't want to see that. Also, don't ever look at ballet dancers' feet. Not good.
Yeah.
Not good. Not good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but guys, we'll circle back to the real topic in a minute, guys. We're just
By the way, I'm super jealous of your sweet background. I've wanted to get awesome shelves. Like, look at you.
I know. Look at this is metal pegboard here and metal shelves, which I'm super. I'll send you the link on where I got them. I love it. I have a whole bunch.
So is that like is that vinyl behind you or is that actual wood?
It's vinyl. It's actually it's neither. It's neither. It's a it's like a
the engineered
you go to
stuff
Home Depot,
like Pergo,
and you just buy the big board, and I just liquid nailed it up.
That's all right. Ain't no shame in it. Ain't no shame in it.
Nice because, as you guys know, behind me used to just be an unfinished wall, and so I didn't want to put something up that was too heavy. It's a garage.
The last thing, literally, Michael told me before he got dragged off to prison was he's like, "You got to cover up those wood baseboards back there. Do you have any more? Do you have any more of the pallet wood?" I said, "I have like hundreds of boards of the pallet wood left."
That's real pallet wood behind you.
That's real pallet wood. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Power washed, nailed, liquid glue, all that shit.
You did the whole like, I'm gonna do a craft project. I just went and bought the pre-printed and I just slapped up 2 of them.
It's all good. I've wanted some shelves like you have to put all the stuff that John Shostovsky's sent me over the last year and a half. Like your little doll, that's from John, right?
I got this sent to me. I just got this in the mail today. It's a Mr. Bill dog toy.
It's got to be from John, though. It's got to be from John. Here, hold down the fort. I'm gonna go get mine. Hold on.
Okay. Go get your thing. So, yeah, Dave Pettit looked like he was on shrooms. Yeah, John. Yes, it was from you. And thank you. I have it here on display now. Now, also, guys, just as a note, while Aaron is gone, and thank you so much, John, for this amazing Mr. Bill. Mr. Bill was one of my favorite characters of all time on Saturday Night Live, and I wish they would bring him back. But anyway, I digress. So I just want to say that on another tab over here, I have waiting for any news at all. Where are we here? There we go. Okay. Right here. Oh, look at yours. So this is, guys, I have this just sitting here waiting. Serge and Laura right now are in a restaurant eating. Laura is very emotional. They're having a very, very emotional talk right now. But look at your dolls, Aaron. I just want you guys to know that if any news happens, we know that Michael's about to be released. Okay. As soon as he's released, we're gonna tune into that stream. Okay, because we want to make sure that we're covering that. But as you can see, they're enjoying some delicious Japanese food right now, which is amazing. So yeah, but we will pop that right back up there as soon as we have anything. Let me see your dolls, Aaron. You got the bill. And oh my God, is that a Keebler elf?
That's David. No, this is a vintage photorealistic David Miscavige doll. Okay. And then here's Captain David Miscavige.
Oh my God. Version. Oh, Serge's live ended? Okay, maybe they went. What happened?
This is David Miscavige attacking Guillaume Leserve in a meeting. Yeah, that's how that works. There you go.
Oh, well, that's accurate.
Yeah. What are we doing?
Okay, I was just checking here. Okay, they didn't get Michael yet. Somebody said the live ended and I was like behind. So let's see here. I'll just keep it up on his tab. There's nothing else right now. They went to go have food and then they are going to go live again once they have Michael. So I've got his tab up, guys. And oh my goodness, there's so many questions coming in here. Let's get those started up here so that we can talk about it.
Yeah, this is being hosted on Nora's StreamYard. So Barb, there's no Barb in the back off. Barb
has access to my back office.
Oh, she does?
She does.
Oh, I told her we were on yours.
Yeah, she's got access, or she should anyway.
Okay.
Barb can come on back. Oh,
okay, good, sweet.
Yeah. So let me. We hate Dave Pettit too. You're in good company, Meta. Thank you for that. Appreciate. And guys, as I've said before in the last couple lives, there is something odd going on with the YouTube algorithm right now. We are feeling a disturbance in the force. So if you're not getting notifications from either of our channels, please go make sure, like, unsubscribe, resubscribe, something. And then the like button has started to move during the live. For some people, they're rolling out a new layout. So if you can't readily find the live, that's why. And then the other thing is that I've found personally, if you comment during the live, that helps out. Obviously, it sends it out to more people. And then secondly, if you give it a like and a comment on the replay, that's also going to tremendously boost it. But my wife also noticed something because she checked my stats in the back after I did the parking lot confessional, which I did in the portrait mode, as opposed to landscape like we're in right now. And that goes out apparently to a whole other audience of people, that when you're in portrait mode, okay, go for it.
So YouTube, when you're live streaming from your phone, and the thing is, my audience absolutely hates this, but YouTube wants you to stream in portrait mode, because what they do is they take your live stream and they push it out to the shorts feed.
Right.
They will take clips of your live stream and push it out to the YouTube Shorts feed, which goes to a completely different and much bigger audience than normal videos. And that's why you'll see even large channels with millions of views are starting to do little live streams from their phone in portrait mode. Yeah. I mean, when you're about that YouTube life, you got to play that YouTube game by the YouTube rules, and that's just kind of what they want you to do.
Comments were like, what's wrong with your phone? And I was like, nothing. I'm doing it the way YouTube told me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it turns out they want to be able to throw your stuff all over the place. All right, let me just make sure I'm starring all the things. And then if Barb wants to come in here, she is welcome. Everyone's yelling for Barb now, but she's doing fine. Barb is the best. Barb is the absolute best. So I love Barb.
I'll tell you what, though, since on my channel, I named this chat How to Escape from Scientology. And so I don't know, there's so many things that we can talk about on this, because the truth is, some people get upset when you try to explain that, like, if you want to blow, you can blow. It's not like the hole at the int base.
Correct. Unless you're on the RPF, it's a little bit harder, but yeah.
But it depends on what you're willing to risk. And this is what I guess when I say things like this, I need to be as clear as possible on.
Right.
It depends on what you're willing to risk. Here's what it really comes down to. If you are willing to not only put the Sea Org behind you, but to put Scientology behind you, and you do not care if you're going to lose your friends and your family members and all of that, it's literally impossible to keep you from escaping. Period. Yeah.
Did you ever blow when you were in the Sea Org?
No.
Okay, I blew many, many times. I mean, the first official blow, because they counted one against me that wasn't a real blow. But my first official blow came after we got back from Flag. I actually blew in June. Like, it took me like a month and a half to to blow. But I had never fully recovered from my dad passing, which happened right before I went to Flag. And then I spent at Flag, I spent my first Christmas ever with no family, which was so strange to do as a 19-year-old after just losing my dad. And then we came back, and I don't know what happened in Philly for you when you launched back, but first of all, we started getting bomb threats every day at Celebrity Center. They were evacuating the org constantly. We were being watched because people were threatening our lives. And then the QualSec decided to do like a coup d'etat because he was so upset about us upstart kids deciding what perfection is. And he was a class 8 that he started an investigation into all of us. He was like, well, I want cameras behind these perfect people. And I was like, I'm not putting a camera here. That's not a requirement. And then Dave Pettit's like, yeah, why don't you want a camera? What out tech are you doing? And I was like, excuse me, I'm a golden age of tech word clear. And they're like, well, we'll see about that. And so they had like all this pressure was being put on us. And I don't know if they were doing that in other orgs or not. And then I got quicksilvered off post by the CO, and it was like all this stuff, and things were just awful. And so I laid in bed, just was like, that's it, tomorrow I'm done. And I packed a tiny little backpack with like one change of clothes, and I had like $20 in my pocket. That's everything I had. And I woke up so early, like 4:30 in the morning, and just walked out of the Wilcox and started walking. My mom had moved to Eagle Rock, and I didn't even know where her house was. I just knew it was behind. Oh no, this is before she moved to Eagle Rock. And I walked her house in Silver Lake when she was still living in Silver Lake. And then she was gone on course, and my stepdad was out. So I just sat in their house watching the Olympics because it was 1996. The Olympics were on. And then I heard somebody come home, and I ran out of their house real quick. And my mom got freaked out. I could hear her freaking out because the rocking chair I was sitting in was like still going. So it was like super eerie for her. And we lived across the street from a school. So I just ran to like this behind this thing, and she was like outside, like looking for somebody. And then my stepdad pulls up in the little truck, and I had a key already to the truck, like on my keychain. And so I waited for him to go inside, and I jumped in the truck and I took off. But I left a note on my mom's car. So now what I didn't know is that my stepdad had just come back from grocery shopping, and there was a cooler in the back of the truck filled with food that he had just bought. So he comes out to find out, get the cooler and bring all the groceries in, and the truck's gone. So they reported it stolen to the police and the insurance. And then as they're going to a rental place to get a car, go to the police station, one or the other, my mom sees the note. And then she reads it, and then she's like, oh, son of a bitch. And now she's calling the police back. Oh, just kidding. It's my daughter. She borrowed it. She just left us a note, and everything's fine. And they're like, oh no, we already put the bolo out. So I had like a bolo out on me in this stolen vehicle.
Oh my God.
From NorCal to my grandparents' house in Lodi. And I didn't tell him I was coming. I pulled over to call my mom on a payphone, and she's like, where are you? I was like, I'm nowhere. And then I saw my grandparents, and my grandpa was so cool. He was like a super Christian dude, deacon of the church, all that kind of stuff. And I took them out to breakfast the next morning, but he totally saw through me. He was just like, he took me aside as I was leaving, and he was like, I don't know what's going on right now, but if you need something and you need somewhere to stay, you can always come here. And I just like broke down. I just literally broke down because, they had my mom calling me to convince me to come back. And I was like sick at the time. I had like a severe kidney infection that like no one was taking seriously. And I thought I was going to die. And so she set me up with an appointment at her doctor in NorCal. And then she drove back with me. Like we just talked the whole way, and she's like, if you want to leave, you should just leave. And,
wow.
And I was like, that's not how it works. And, that was the first time I blew. Other time, like on the RPF one time, I got into a altercation while I was on the RPF's RPF with the MAA. He tried to push me down some stairs, and we fought. Me and Stefan Castle. And
that was Stefan Castle was your RPF MAA?
Oh yeah. He was the RPF's RPF MAA.
By the way, no shade to Stefan, but why
No
do you
shade
think
to
Stefan and Tanya have totally just
Oh, I'm so
disappeared?
proud of them for leaving, and good for Stefan for going back and getting Tanya. And but we had a physical, like I almost beat the hell out of him. And he had another guy with him. I can't remember his name. He was real tall, and he tried to like pin my arms behind my back. I'm taking on like 2 adult men. Stefan was tiny though, in like, it was a fair fight between the two of us. The 6'3" guy, not so much. And then I just took off, and then he spent 4 hours talking me back into coming to and he just agreed with whatever I said. I was like, L. Ron Hubbard's a con man and a piece of shit. He's like, exactly. I agree. We should just go back and get this sorted out. I was like, just saying whatever I want. He's like, yeah, sure. Because they can't just let you. I was already on the RPF. It's supposed to be voluntary. You're supposed to just be able to go. You sign a waiver at the beginning saying you're there voluntarily and you can leave anytime you want. But in terms of Jason Jordan, for him, there are cameras everywhere, but I walked out once at Pack Base, just through the whole parking lot and then onto Sunset and just walked down. No one stopped me. Not one security guard came out and been like, excuse me, where are you going? What's happening?
So, but this is part of what I mean, right? Because certain Sea Org members, all Sea Org members, but certain more than others, have an expected, there's a certain amount of expected freedom of motion. So just for example, security guards are allowed to walk around the perimeter and drive around and drive between the buildings. And security guards are, no one's going to question a security guard walking out of a door, no matter what time of day or night it is. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm saying if he wanted to blow and he didn't care about getting declared, he could just walk out the door, walk 50 feet up to Sunset Boulevard and start walking. And they wouldn't be able to physically bring him back if he wasn't willing to cooperate. Do you agree with that or no?
No, I agree.
Okay.
But I think the first thing that everyone who's lurking here, because we have Sea Org members that lurk on our channels and, everything else, that the first thing to know is just literally just go. There is nothing that they can do to you to make you stay. They have no legal recourse against you. You have no obligation to them in any way, shape, or form. That is the thing where people stick themselves, is they think they're committing an actual crime. There is no crime in leaving a job, right? This is technically a job. You're volunteering now per that new staff contract that I broke down the other day. You're a volunteer. Okay. So you have zero obligations to stay there for any reason. They cannot take action against you, even with that ridiculously seemingly legal contract that people are signing. They cannot take legal action against you in any way, shape, or form. And that's what people have to understand. You are safe to walk away. Is that Michael coming out? They're just waiting. No. Lara's hugging somebody else. They're back live again because apparently he's coming out any second. And I saw Lara hugging somebody and I was like, what? No. But
are they outside the prison or
they are outside? Yeah, we can pull it up here. Let me pull that up. See, look, Serge is doing the.
Someone calling you?
Yeah. I don't know. I'll call them back later. But he's outside here, so they're waiting. They're at a different place than you were at, because I think he went downtown to be arraigned officially or whatever.
No charges for Michael.
There you go. No charges.
You're kidding me. No charges?
And they kept him the whole weekend.
They say he's out. The chat is saying he's out.
Yeah. But he's not out there yet.
Where the hell is he?
I don't know. Serge is there. I'm making it happen. Yep. They're still waiting. But this is so crazy to me that they kept him that whole time and then no charges.
Wow.
Because when you were in there and they did no charges on you, you were out within a few hours.
Correct.
I mean, it was a lot of hours. It wasn't like 1 hour. It was like 5. I remember because I stayed up really, really late to make sure you got out of there, watching everybody's live stream simultaneously. So somebody's saying, Fat Grammy's saying that he'll probably get released around 6, like DOA did. That's a possibility. So Laura's got Serge's thing here. So I'm just gonna move that a little bit. But yeah.
I am blown away by this news.
Right? That is
absolutely blown away.
Yeah. I think
that is amazing.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy for Michael and I'm so happy for Serge, obviously. My audio was weird. I apologize, everyone. I apologize. I sound good again. Okay, good. I don't know, guys. I don't have the answer to this. Literally, maybe Aaron, you can talk to Zach when he's free. I know he's busy right now, but like, I don't understand how they held him this long, other than retaliatory reasons. At that,
do you know what I'm going to try to do? One of my long-term channel supporters, Sir Crepitus, is retired law enforcement officer from California.
Let's get him in here. You want him? Where's he at?
Well, let me.
Let's bring him in.
Try to text him.
Let me pull up a link here, and I'll private message you the link to send to him. Let's look at us, guys. Technologying, dual technologying. Boom. Copy. And I'm going to put it in the private chat. There you go. Let's see.
All right. I'm checking to see if he's available.
Wardrobe change right now. Okay. Is Sir Crepitus down to clown?
I'm going to find out here in a second.
Are you in the chat, Sir Crepitus? We want to send you a link.
No, I'm texting with him. He's answering.
Okay. When he pops in the back here, I'll just.
By the way, how come you share it from? Oh, I see. Oh, you're sharing screen instead of sharing tab?
Yes, because it
looks much better if you share tab.
I know, but then I can't see what. Here, I'll just do this. Let's see. Now I've got the wrong thing up.
By the way, when we started, there were 11 SPTV channels live.
Right?
Isn't that wild?
It's crazy. Let's move that. Let's start sharing again. There we go.
There are currently 13 SPTV channels live.
Everybody's on, man. We're on it.
Here, I'm going to comment in Serge's live stream.
Yeah, let him know we're sniping him.
All right, stream snipers on deck.
We'll see what he says.
Okay, wait. Now I want one. I should not be drinking all this caffeine. This girl does not need it.
These two crack me up.
This girl does not need it.
At all.
That caffeine is freaking. For Laura's mind, she don't need it.
You know, based on what's happened previously, even once they know that they're going to be getting out, they don't let him out until like 5 p.m. Pacific.
You know what? At least,
right, which is in 16 minutes.
Put it on my portable.
Okay, so Menace is this.
Yes, I have my portable.
Look at the chat here for more than 2 seconds.
At least I can charge part of it in here. Oh my god, I'm at 4%. Wow, guys. Laura's life. Oh, here we go. Boom. Good. Marcus has some.
All right, you guys. Well, it is.
Say hi, Nora.
Free. That's the update.
Yeah, Michael is he's not been released yet, but he is free. He's been what did the bailiff say? Oh yeah, he's been released.
He's been released because
there's
no case, there's nothing.
No file. The prosecutor didn't file a fucking
wasn't
case.
Even filed.
Yeah.
They were so embarrassed.
444.
They were so embarrassed.
They were so embarrassed by this.
They
dumb
knew they were gonna get nothing out of doing nothing because that's what usually happens.
So I don't think this cord is working. Oh, I'm such a dumb. Laura Megan Anderson.
Get your ethics in.
It's working. Again.
I feel so unseen.
All right, guys. Well,
I know, right? We're just being ignored.
Because I'm gonna restart.
But tell them why.
We're gonna restart with horizontal mode, you guys. So.
No, stay in portrait mode.
Live. So quickly stay on here and wait for Serge to come right back.
Ciao.
Stay in portrait.
Oh, stay in portrait. They don't listen to us.
Stay in portrait.
You get more viewers. Surge. You're Serge. You gotta. Nobody's listening to us. It's like mom and dad yelling at somebody.
And churlish.
I would love to meet Keegan Michael Key in real life. He is so funny.
Or as I like to call him, Michael Keegan Key. Because I always get it wrong. Kind of like nobody can say Aaron Smith-Levin. They would say Aaron Levin Smith.
I know. Why do they do that? It's written out. It's not even that hard, guys.
Levin Smith does roll off the tongue a little bit better.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Smith-Levin.
On the street.
Smith-Levin. That's,
Yes, oh my God. I just got a message.
John. Uh-oh.
No, that's all right. It's good. I'll tell you later.
Oh, okay. It's a different one. Okay. Yes, John. LAPD loses another one. Yeah. My question is, Aaron, and maybe you can give me some insight here with all your lawyerly knowledge and all that kind of stuff. What kind of rivalry, what kind of upset are these continual BS arrests going to cause between the LAPD and the LADA's office?
Oh, geez, I don't know.
They're just bringing. That's above my pay grade. Imagine how much. Okay, now in Scientology,
do you want to change the view on this?
NFT.
Do you want to change the view though?
Okay, yeah. Let me take that out of there. Boom.
How you doing?
How you doing?
Hey. Ooh. Ew, that's too close. My camera's too good to get that close.
Yeah. Yeah, but what do you?
Let me tell you this. Let me tell you what Lori Plays told me. Lori Plays is one of my moderators, and she's retired Florida law enforcement. She said if police officers keep making arrests and making referrals for charges that the DA doesn't even take up, eventually they'll stop taking cases from that officer. And it's weird. On the one hand, they do keep every now and then sending new officers instead of always sending the same officers. But when shit hits the fan, it's the same officers who usually show up. And literally, I was convinced this was going to be the first time that they actually brought charges and charges stuck. I was convinced.
I thought, they're going to use this, but I think they're hoping. I think LAPD and the DA's office is waiting, I'm going to be honest, to see what's going to happen in Nance's case in Chicago, right? Scientology is trying to get some precedent on the record anywhere where they can be like, these protesters are dangerous and they are, trying to destroy everything. And they're just, like describing us like SPs, where they're just here to destroy, hell-bent on destruction kind of a thing. And I just go like, okay, but the charges against Nance, honestly, are so crazy that I don't understand.
No. Hey, Bill's I'm trying to get the right link. Bill is available to jump on right now.
Okay.
Okay. I can just send him the link that you sent me earlier, right?
Yeah, and I put it in the private chat. I put a new one in the private chat. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay.
Somebody said Serge is back on, but I keep refreshing his page and he's not. Like the last live is from 4 minutes ago. So, guys, I'm refreshing his page. I'll bring him back up when he does go live. They're attacking us with our boobs. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, if we're still talking to Sir Crepitus, when let's have Serge's video open, but we can play it. We can keep the sound off if needed, so we can see what's happening.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Once it comes back up, I'll put it up. But it's not his. I don't know. Let me check Laura's channel and see if she's live instead of Serge. That wouldn't make any sense. Maybe they went live on Michael's. No. Yeah, I don't see it.
All right.
This is with us.
Hello, how are you?
Hello.
Good to see you both.
Joining us last minute. I appreciate.
Hey, no problem. I was out running around. I had just stopped by a neighbor's house when Aaron texted me, so I ran back home as quick as my fat little butt could.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. How y'all doing today?
Good. Well, we're excited right now. We are much excited.
I don't know if he knows the update. They've announced no charges for Michael.
Yep, I was very happy to hear that. You know, it's been on my mind so much. I've been checking his status on the LA County Jail inmate information site like multiple times per day just to see if he's been transferred or whatnot.
So here's the question that we had. I mean, we can't wrap our minds around it. How are they able to keep arresting people and holding them for days and days and days and then just letting them walk out with no charges?
Yeah, you know, I'll put Michael's case aside just for a second, but in the past, you know, we had these false arrests using private person's arrest, right? Aaron, unfortunately, you were one of the first, right?
Yeah.
Back in 2003, or prior to 2003, there were laws that protected police officers where if they made a private person's arrest, they were protected from false arrest. However, the person signing the private person's arrest could be held civilly liable. Well, in 2003, the Ninth Circuit Court changed the laws on that. Police officers no longer have protection, and in fact, police officers are required to do their due diligence, do a proper investigation to make sure that there's probable cause for an arrest. But law enforcement agencies are still acting like it's prior to 2003. So the LAPD officers who accepted those private persons arrests based on the false accusations where there was no probable cause, they can now be held civilly liable, as well as the person that placed you under private person's arrest.
Wow.
Yeah. And
that's amazing.
Yeah. And what's interesting is a lot of police departments are not training their officers on these laws. They're just not doing it. And you know, there may be cases too where the police might think you're just not schooled enough to know about this law, and they're banking on the fact that you don't know about it, and they're going to get away with it.
Yeah, I mean, I had like a follow-up question that I asked Aaron, like, what do you think is going to happen with the relationship between LAPD and the DA's office if they just keep doing this, like just bringing people in and holding them and doing all this stuff? Like, you know, does that create a bad relationship, tension? What does that do between those two departments that are so vital in the justice system?
Eventually, it can. You know, back when I was still working and I was on this burglary task force, we were investigating and prosecuting our own cases. And, you know, there were times where somebody on our team may have made a mistake, an innocent mistake. And the filing DA, when we would bring the case in, they would ask us, "What the heck is wrong with you? This is not a good arrest." And if the same filing DA keeps getting these bad cases over and over and over again, they're eventually going to reach out to some department brass and ask what the heck is going on.
Right.
So yes, it could in the long run damage the relationship between the police department and the DA's office. And it's kind of like the boy that cried wolf, right? DA's office is going to be less likely to file cases.
Yeah, we just got this super chat in from Vintage Mama of 3. Maybe the reason is because no body cams on the officers who arrested Michael, broke protocol. Would that be a reason why they would drop the charges?
You know, that is a good question. And based on my experience, first of all, on our department, body cams are mandatory. There no ands, ifs, or buts. And my understanding is it's the same with LAPD. Why they weren't wearing body cams, I don't know. Somebody had mentioned that a supervisor on the scene mentioned that they were out of body cams. And I'm sorry, that doesn't cut it, because each officer is issued their own body camera and they're responsible for it.
I see.
So
it's like your gun and your badge. You get your own.
Yes, it gets issued to you, because if they share the body cams on all 3 shifts, how are they ever going to get charged? And how are the videos ever going to get uploaded to the servers, right? So that's ridiculous. There have been times where higher up supervisors might tell their officers not to wear their body cams. Unfortunately, I don't know why. It's open to speculation, but based on my experience, the only reasons I could think of why is either, number one, they don't want any bad optics, right? They don't want anything that looks bad on video, which is ridiculous, because I know when they're rolling the big blue, everybody is streaming.
Right.
Another reason might be because they don't want their equipment broken, which is as equally ridiculous, because these body cams have actually saved police departments millions and millions of dollars from frivolous lawsuits. So it makes no sense to me. I can't explain that.
Why they wouldn't have it on. Yeah.
Right. Now, here's another thing to think about, and I've seen this happen on my department before when I was working. Let's say an officer uses force, and a supervisor reviews that force, and they think, oh boy, we got a problem here. This didn't look good. This maybe wasn't to policy, or maybe it's just outright excessive force, or maybe even criminal in nature. In a case like Michael's, where they're alleging this force, and the force that they're alleging is so minor, I mean, it's extremely weak. It at best could rise to a misdemeanor, which is what he was booked on, but it's still, in law enforcement standards, so weak. They may be thinking, oh, dang it, we used force on this guy. It was not good, but we better cover our tracks. We better prosecute him for something. That actually happens in law enforcement. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen, and I've seen it with my own eyes. So,
yeah,
it sounds to me like this case was rejected by the DA. That LAPD tried to get it filed, and the DA rejected it.
Yeah, and good thing they did. I mean, Aaron, what do you want to say about that?
Well, I mean, in your opinion, yesterday when the police officers showed up to confront DOA, first about someone allegedly looked like they might have stepped on a sprinkler, and then they came. The police admitted that they're getting like 100 to 150 calls a day from Scientology. And when you have this type of harassment, almost this abuse, this weaponization of the police force, combined with the fact that every time the police arrest somebody, the prosecutors go, we're not doing anything with this. Who is it that's more likely to be the weakest link here on saying enough is enough? I mean, is it more likely that the LAPD is going to stop arresting people, or is it more like, would the prosecutor's office, because I don't know how these organizations actually work with each other, will the prosecutor's office ever actually say to the LAPD, stop arresting them for this? You're wasting our time. Is that a conversation that anybody would ever have with anybody? Would the city attorney say that to the chief of police or something?
Yeah. You know, every courthouse, they have their own filing DA. Excuse me. They have their own filing DA, and they're all different. You know, it just depends on their personality. Some of them are prone to becoming more annoyed earlier than others. But yeah, it is very possible that conversation could take place. It just depends on who the filing DA is that they're filing their cases with. From a law enforcement standpoint, when we have a problem that's reoccurring, in this case, it's Scientology calling in all this bogus crap. Pardon my language.
That's all right. You're free to use whatever language you want.
Okay. Lots of times, detectives will use the same filing DA for all of these cases related to Scientology, because LAPD wants to have a relationship with a filing DA that knows what's going on and is going to work with LAPD. We did that when I was on the burglary task force. Sometimes we would take our cases to the same filing DA every time to make sure our cases got filed. So that could very well be happening.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm a little out of the loop when I tuned in early to watch DOA stream this morning. There was these contractors that Scientology had hired. Remember, the police showed up and told DOA that he had to move all of his stuff to the south side of Fountain. I don't know if you guys know this. And then voila, guess what happens this morning? A whole concrete installation crew shows up on the south side of Fountain.
Are you serious?
That's why Scientology wanted them all on the south side of Fountain. So DOA actually ran over to where they were supposed to start doing work because he thought they were going to start tearing up the sidewalks. And he laid down on the sidewalk, and they brought over 4 tents and they set them up right in the area where this crew was supposed to work.
Good.
And something happened where I don't remember who bumped who because I wasn't watching. It wasn't actually on camera. Where one of the contractors and DOA bumped into each other, and DOA thought that they were about to file a PPA and have him arrested. And I thought, if they can, then they will. And I thought, geez, by the end of the night, DOA could be in cuffs again. And it would be every time they've arrested DOA, they've had to let him go. Yeah. And between DOA and Danny and Denver J, it's like it just keeps happening again and again and again. And I got to tell you, if they decided not to prosecute Michael for an incident where physical contact was made with a police officer, I don't think any of these guys have anything to worry about. I don't think there's any way DOA could be arrested, or I guess you can be arrested for anything, right? But it's whether they charge you for incidental contact with the contractor if Michael's not going to be charged for contact with a police officer. I think this is such good news. If I was out there protesting right now, this would give me a really good peace of mind.
Yeah, it really is a feel good moment. And that the DA still has up to a year to file a case on him if they wanted to. But based on my experience, I can tell you LAPD is probably crapping their pants right now because none of their officers are wearing body cams. So watch commanders or even higher up supervisors were unable to review what actually happened. But here we have all these streamers out there doing the right thing, getting everything on video. I guarantee you 100% the watch commander that was on duty that night and probably detectives the next day were scouring the internet for these streams to see what happened. And they're probably crapping their pants because both times that force was used against Michael, the first push by Sergeant Lobo was unnecessary and excessive.
Right.
The takedown of Michael, just using his index finger to say, "Hey, don't touch me," very excessive by any law enforcement standards. And I hope to reach out to Michael after he's out and he's had some rest, but I think he really has a good civil rights case on his hands. I'd really
That's
like to
awesome.
see him pursue it.
Maybe I can say a little something that I've never said about the aftermath of my false arrest that apparently wasn't really an arrest.
Right.
I've spoken with some of the top lawyers in the country on this subject, and even when it came to that, they said, the problem is you do have to prove damages, and and even though I did go to the doctor and I did get examined and I did have a partial injury of the rotator cuff, it's so minor. And I was only held for 4 hours. Now it's more egregious when you've got like Danny and DOA being held for days and days and days. Michael's been held for days. But like in DOA's case, if DOA were, and this is, I'm purely speculating here. This is the following is nothing to do with anything the lawyer told me. DOA has been very open about how much funds was donated to him to help him while he was in jail. An argument could be made that how could you possibly prove harm? Someone might argue it was a benefit. And that's a problem in the lawsuit, in a civil lawsuit against the LAPD. When I say that's a problem, I can't speak for DOA's case. For my case, the lawyer told me, they just didn't think it wasn't enough high enough probability that it would be succeed or it would be worth it, because how do you show the damages?
Yeah, well, any donated monies, they cannot count that as damages. That's for sure. Or I'm sorry, they can't count that as a benefit. I see your point. Actually, it's a good point, and it made me think a little bit. But damages would be something like lost wages, physical injury. But what surprises me about lawyers being reluctant to take a case like that is that, well, what about punitive damages for your loss of freedom? That false arrest is a big deal. Not just violating your First Amendment rights, but also your Fourth Amendment right. I kind of wonder if maybe there are lawyers out there that are reluctant to go up civilly against Scientology, just because of the nature of Scientology and how litigious they are.
But remember, these lawsuits would be against the LAPD.
Oh, yeah.
And my advice was coming to me from a lawyer who was an expert in lawsuits against the LAPD. And so, and again, I'm not even repeating this so that anyone can take it as advice. I'm just sharing what was told with me by a lawyer who really wants to go after, is interested in going after Scientology, would welcome the opportunity to go after Scientology, and just thought, I'm sorry, not Scientology. I'm sorry. We're talking about the LAPD, not Scientology. Yeah. But a guy who's not afraid of Scientology and has a track record of going, suing the LAPD. And he said this, he says, I don't think this is the one. I don't think this lawsuit will work, is actually what it came down to. But that's just, that was just my situation. I've never really shared that publicly, but that people do ask me about it. And that's where that's at. It's nowhere for that reason.
Yeah. I still find it interesting because actually, most lawyers, pretty much all lawyers that specialize in police misconduct, they see these cities and counties as having deep pockets. And there are many civil rights lawyers out there that will take even weak cases just for the simple fact that, the cities and the counties, they want to settle out of court because it's cheaper to do that than it is to take the thing to trial. For me, back when I was working, this was in the early 90s or mid 90s. I have no problem saying this. I was sued for $1 million by a very, very aggressive pit bull police misconduct lawyer for less than what we're talking about here.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, the thing dragged on. Ultimately, this lawyer ended up settling out for $25,000 out of $1 million that he was asking for. So that says a lot. I wanted to fight it. The county said, no, it's too expensive. We're just gonna throw some money at him and let her rip,
Wow.
And that's common. That is really common. Lawyers like to shake that tree to see some fruit fall down.
Like malpractice, like doctors have malpractice insurance. Wouldn't the police union have some sort of like insurance for that or something?
No, individual police officers, they can get false arrest insurance, but I would say probably 99% of them don't have it. I never did. But the cities, they have their own attorneys. They're basically self-insured to take care of themselves when it comes to stuff like that. Like I said, deep pockets.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. I've got Confident Chris's stream up now. Surge's stream is here. So Surge is over here, but as you can see, Surge is across from Confident Chris and Solomon there. So but they have like a view of the door. Is that where he'll be coming out of, this door over here that Chris is looking at?
That's the county court building. It's called CCB. That I believe it's been so long since I've worked overtime there, but yeah, that looks like the same place that they'll be coming out.
Okay, that door there where Chris is looking at. Okay.
Yeah, they should be releasing them from there. They usually release people twice a day, once in the afternoon and once in the evening around 6 or 7 p.m.
Okay, so we might have a little bit of a wait until
Yeah, there's probably going to be a bit of a wait. I mean, it can happen at any time. It depends on how busy the lockup is. If they're really overcrowded, they may throw in an extra group of releasees or two.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's go through these chats here real quick. Geraldine Thompson, we need to ask corrupt officers if they would sell their kids to the cult. That could be an interesting question. Marilee, thank you for becoming a member. That's fantastic. Super chat from Juju for Freedom here. There are so many things I love about you, Aaron, but you really rock my world with those pinky fingers. Bent pinky people unite. Okay, some love just for your janky fingers. Can I talk about Cece and David, meaning Dave Pettit, and their RTC connection? I mean, Cece was the first org to have their own RTC rep inside of it besides Flag. And so they have like a direct phone line to Dave because via the president's office, because it's like a whole other vein when celebrities need something or have to, have something handled for them. So yeah, I mean, I should do a whole video about that. That's a long one. A question: do your sources have the ability to give Jason Jordan some info to contact you or the SPTV Foundation for help if he wants it? That one's for you, Aaron.
Well, the answer is yes, but honestly, I don't want to set unrealistic expectations. Just because Jason wants to leave the Sea Org does not mean he wants to leave Scientology, and I don't want to create a false impression or have anyone get it twisted. Believe me, Jason knows that if he needs help or wants help, the help is available.
Right.
Jason's wanted to leave for 10 years. My letting the protesters know what his situation was more to give them some additional stuff they could use to say to him. Honestly, the protesters troll the security guards hardcore. The fact that Jason is living a life he doesn't really want to live, they sent his wife away, he got demoted. These are things they can use in their conversations with him. How they want to use that information is up to them. But it's not like the guy couldn't leave if he wanted to. He could leave. I just wanted the protesters to know he wants to.
Right. Yeah, no, that's awesome. This one is for you, AA Ron. I support what both of you are doing from Tampa B Man.
Jankwe.
Anna says, unfortunately, Aaron, we all saw your foot on Rabbit's channel.
You're welcome.
Oh, NatCat 180.
No, hold on. Normally you got to pay for that.
And that's Aaron's secret OnlyFans, guys. You have to find it. It's only feet. Only pinky toes. That's our joint OnlyFans account. Which foot is it? Is it mine or is it Aaron's? NatCat 180. Nora, love your setup. AA Ron, LED strip would look awesome around your YouTube play button. # free Michael. Yes.
There we go. All right. I'll keep it in mind.
Vintage Mama of 3's been a member of yours for 3 whole months. Love you,
hot dog. Thank you,
go.
Vintage Mama 3.
Amber Vanassi says, I was always running away when I was at the Manor Hotel. Yeah. Facts, Amber.
Amber and I are going to be doing a chat soon.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm going to tune in for that. Donna Hannibal, a.k.a. Ramon's girl. Nora, you said you've blown more than once. What happens when you come back each time? Well, it's super fun, guys. Let me just tell you. You get put under 24-hour surveillance, and you cannot do anything by yourself. And then they just give you daily sec checks of at least 5 hours a day, and then you just do hard labor at the org that you're at. It's like a mini RPF. It's like a mini RPF, but you don't have to audit someone else. Now, let me ask you a question, Sir Crepitus. What is your take on people like myself that have been basically held against their will. Like I left, I was like, I'm out, deuces, I'm out. And I get sucked back in. And then not only am I continuing to say, I don't want to be here, I want to leave. And they're holding, they've held my, my identification. They keep me from moving freely about any buildings by having me under 24-hour surveillance. I've experienced that multiple times. Is there a charge legally in the statutes and the codes there that would fall under, that people could say, this has happened to me, how do I file a complaint?
False imprisonment and kidnapping. Yep.
Boom.
Both felonies. And if they cross state lines, it'd be a federal crime.
Well, I've known plenty of people that have blown out of state. So yeah. Yeah. So that's guys, these are the things that we need to be telling the people inside, because all those guys dressed in black, like I saw it on Natalie's feed this morning. She was showing the guys that were putting the stakes in the ground. That was like 3 people that I had been on the RPF with are apparently back on the RPF, or they're just dressing as states in all black now. I don't know. But yeah, it certainly looked that way to me, that those guys were doing the hard labor. So
if you don't mind me saying, if people are falsely arrested under a private person's arrest, if they can't get an attorney to go after Scientology, you can go after the person that made the private person's arrest. Malicious prosecution and subordination to perjury.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, okay. You can go after them civilly. Yep. Because the person making the private person's arrest and who's actually signing the form, they are essentially arresting you. The police are just taking you into custody to process you.
That's incredible.
So the person signing the form is the actual one making the arrest.
I have an actual question finally, like a good question. By the way, if you're watching right now, I'm talking to you right now. If you're watching right now, this live stream, please do us a favor and hit that like button. Okay, here's my question, Sir Crepidus. I've always wanted to know this. Citizens arrest. What why? What are the rules about this? Why don't the security guards perform? And I'm not hoping that they do. I've just always wondered this. Why don't they perform a citizen's arrest when they think there's something that's been done that needs to be, where someone could be arrested? What are the rules about this?
Well, believe it or not, everybody, not just security guards, even just a regular citizen, have powers of arrest. It's just not to the same degree as law enforcement would have. Security guards, they can put their hands on you and cuff you up if they so choose to. But these days, a lot choose not to. And, there are many companies out there that have, like, let's say, loss prevention officers that forbid them from putting their hands on people just for civil liability reasons. So, yeah, security there, they can put their hands on you if they wanted to. But it's a big risk for them to take.
About security guards in general, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you would know far more about this than I would. But in California, people who are like the security there at Celebrity Center or the Big Blue or wherever, they have to be licensed as guards and have a proper guard card. Yep. Correct?
Yep, but they should have that guard card on them at all times.
Now, let's say they don't. Let's say they're not licensed security guards and they're walking around in the uniform with the pepper spray and all the other stuff. What does that mean, and what could happen to them?
Well, they, I forget what the penal code is off the top of my head. I'd have to research it a little bit, but it's illegal. The security guard could get into trouble, and also the company or persons that hired them could also get into trouble.
Okay, and follow up on that. In the same way that the protesters are now asking every officer for their name and serial number, their badge number, right? Are guards issued something like that they are supposed to give upon request as well?
Well, their guard card should have an ID number on there, but they're really not required to give that to you. And as a matter of fact, they're not even required to let you look at their guard card unless you're law enforcement.
Okay.
Yeah, if law enforcement asks to see their guard card, they have to present it to law enforcement.
So if the protesters asked one of the cops on site, like, hey, I don't even think that guy has a guard card. This is illegal security, and they're holding a lethal weapon, pepper spray, and threatening us with it. And it turns out that guy doesn't have a guard card. The officer could then take him into custody, correct?
Potentially, yes. Yes. But, you know, most likely what would end up happening in a situation like that, though, is the police officer would probably be reluctant to actually physically take that guard into custody.
Mm-hmm.
They may, you know, make him, you know, get his information and write a crime report and submit the report and let the detectives handle it from there.
Okay.
That's usually what happens.
Or just like confiscate the pepper spray or something because they aren't licensed to carry that. Because you have to have a guard card first before you have certain kinds of like pepper spray and batons and things like that, certain certifications, right?
Yeah, a baton would be illegal unless you're licensed and, you know, you're a security guard with a valid guard card. Pepper spray anybody can have, but there are new laws in California now that you have to go through some kind of training. Usually it's like online via the internet.
Right.
Something cheesy.
Okay. All right. Well, you are a fountain of knowledge, Sir Carpenter. I appreciate that so much.
No problem. I'm happy to help. I'm glad I could give a little bit of useful information.
Clinodactyly is a medical term for finger that curves to the side, Aaron. This is a super chat for you.
Clinodactyly.
Clinodactyly. It's like you're a special dinosaur.
I'm a pterodactyl.
On the pinky finger or the fifth finger. Thank you for that super chat. Blow drill.
Oh, they're talking about my ring finger.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, what's up, Dylan? I know how I escaped from Scientology. It was not consensual, and you do lose everything. Sort of worth it. Now there is help from 2 foundations. Absolutement. At anyone under the radar, you deserve to be free. Correct. Tampa B Man is now a member on your channel there, Aaron.
Nice.
Awesome sauce. Blow drill, ask them if they have any passions or dreams they want to achieve. Anyone they wish they talked to more. Any places they want to visit. Absolutely. Tampa B Man has 2 personas, and they are both members now. There we go. Scientology Audit Orange County, thank you for this super chat. Super chat to be seen. Surge is back on. Yes, we've got him live here. Kazari, thanks for being a member. I support a horizontal revolution. Just say no to portrait mode. The YouTube overlords will figure out something differently, better if creators refuse to fall in line with their bad parameters. I don't know about that, Kazri, because I will tell you, when I was doing my, parking lot confessionals in the portrait mode, organically, I got a lot of people who weren't already subscribers in there. So that is by design for the mobile use. It's just easier, but I appreciate it.
Something about portrait mode. From a law enforcement standpoint, I'm sorry for chiming in.
Oh, no, go for it.
The police love portrait mode because you get that wider angle. You see a lot more. And you
mean landscape?
You mean landscape?
What is going on in the peripherals,
Are you talking about the rectangle, like big this way, or a rectangle up and down?
Horizontal.
Oh, okay. So you like landscape mode.
That's landscape.
That's landscape. Portrait is this one that you see like basically all of TikTok.
Right.
TikTok
so
is
portrait. Yeah. So if you're at Big Blue or some other org and you're live streaming, it would be really beneficial to do it in portrait mode because it might actually save your ass if something happens.
No, I'm totally confused.
In horizontal mode, this way.
I mean, horizontal mode. I'm sorry.
Landscape.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I think I need some Scientology training. My brain is.
Yeah, it's rewired your brain. Tommy Tone Toontown, that's a tongue twister, says Sergeant Lobo needs to lose his qualified immunity and get sued into oblivion. That's a solid statement there. We looked at that already. Vintage Mama 3. Confident Chris has a better stream. I'm showing it. Thinking about it says, kind of beautiful. You all met after such a loss. I'm happy you share your friendship with all of us. Thank you so much. Aaron and I are real friends in real life, guys. These are facts. Forever Jack's girl. Didn't Michael have an abusive father who is also ex-LAPD? PTSD is real. Is that not damaging? Yes to all of the above. Yes. An illegal arrest makes you look like a criminal. Defamation of character. Would that be a suit? I guess that's the question. I mean, I would suppose so. that could be a suit. What is Chris doing now? Nothing's happening. Okay, Laura's still sitting. No one says time in jail can be very traumatizing, even a short time. Michael never should have had to be there. Correct. Jaraz, thanks for being a member. Michael might have sustained more of an injury because Serge said that Michael had an operation on his back and 2 hip replacements, which definitely makes some more prone for injuries. Yeah. I mean, I'm really hoping that he's okay in there.
Yeah. I mean, as my unprofessional opinion is also, you've got an officer who's much younger and much bigger, like mass-wise, than Michael. You've got Michael who's much older and much lighter. And a little tap with a few fingers, like a little rabbit tap. And then to see the officer's like wild rage reaction, that was just never going to play well.
Yeah.
No, that was off. I charged him. I mean, it was ridiculous.
I watched streams from several different streamers, and Aaron, I sent you a few clips by email to check out. But even before the first pushing incident where Sergeant Lobo pushed Michael, there was all kinds of evidence in that video that this sergeant was already getting very nervous, very uncomfortable, and getting angry. Mm-hmm. I could see the signs because I've been in his shoes before, in times of civil unrest, for example, where you have people yelling at you and getting kind of close to you. It's very, very stressful, and it does make the officers very, very nervous. And eventually that nervousness leads to anger. And that's where that sergeant ended up. He just lost control of himself. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Also, this is for you, Sir Crepitus. Detective Aludo's backup says, thanks for having someone local giving his knowledge on this case and local laws. Sir Crepitus is amazing. And thank you for the super chat. And also, Lone Dinosaur wants you to know you're an informative guest, and you are.
Thank you.
Thank you. Days by Dogs, thanks for becoming a member. That's fantastic. Question. Scientology audit Philly and DC. What can I say to a Scientologist to plant a seed so maybe they will think about leaving? Aaron, what do you think?
What can a Scientologist say to plant a seed? Honestly, I mean, look, anytime anyone's ever asked me, is there anything anyone could have said to you when you were in the Sea Org to get you to change your mind about what you were doing or to think about it differently? The answer was no. I mean, people have to understand what it means to be in a cult and not know you're in a cult, how effective cult conditioning is, how effective the Matrix style way of thinking Scientologists have. If it wasn't so effective, it wouldn't be a cult. If you could just get a Sea Org member to think about leaving by saying a few words, they wouldn't still be there. So it's just not I'm sorry, I'm not throwing any shade at the question itself. I don't mean to get worked up, but it's an unrealistic expectation that any of the protesters should have it as their goal to like, we're planting seeds. We're planting seeds. I mean, even the suggestions that I give are just the best idea that I have. It doesn't even mean I think it's going to be effective. It might be effective 10 years from now. Like, for example, Nora, I mean, the advice that I gave was mention OT3. Because when they eventually get onto OT3, mention Xenu, the body thetans, the hydrogen bombs, the volcanoes, because someone's going to be forced to tell them that that's not true. And then in 5, 10, 20, 30 years, when they finally get onto OT3 and they're going to find out it is true and the protesters have known it all along and they haven't all dropped dead from pneumonia. Like, there's a reason why my best idea is an idea that might possibly work a little bit in 20 years. Because that's not a realistic expectation to have of what a protester should be trying to do. That's how I personally feel about it.
Yeah, I think personally, I feel like anything that is said with sincerity to the protest, to the people in these organizations, whether it's just like, I tell people all the time they can retire because a lot of the people here in Portland are literally my mom's age. That are in their 70s. So I let them know that. But like, look what happened to Jason when the protesters told him that they loved him. And they meant it. They were saying it sincerely, like, we have love for you. We can help you. He cried. I mean, things like that do impact you, even when you're trying your hardest to just block it out. Totally. And, and that real message of empathy from anybody on the outside really does get through. More than I think personally anything else, because, when I would see my friends from high school and things like that, and they would be like, why can't you ever just like take a vacation. And I would quickly, let them know like how busy I was. And they're like, yeah, but I'm busy too. Like I'm in college and I still have time to see, my parents. And it would get me thinking like, yeah, why don't I have liberty? Why don't I have time off? Like, and it's all an internal dialogue, as we know, before you take action.
So another little idea, just for example, because I think there's things that you can say that are more helpful than other things. I'm just not trying to give anyone the idea that there's things that you can say that was like, oh, this is going to really get them thinking. Like, but here's an idea. If you say something like, someone who only loves you as long as you're going to continue to, someone who only loves you as long as Scientologist loves you doesn't really love you. Someone who's your friend only as long as Scientology says it's okay is not really your friend. Now, look. It's a powerful statement of truth, and they might not have ever thought about it that way, and it might be something they think about for a little bit. I'm not saying it's going to get them to leave Scientology, but look, that's a pretty powerful thing. Like, it's taken me a long time to appreciate that a true friend, like, because look, we spent so many years in Scientology, and we knew that as soon as we were in trouble, our friends weren't really our friends anymore. We knew that, and yet those were our friends. So you get this idea imprinted in your mind of what a friend is. It took me years to understand that that's not what a fucking friend is. A friend who's going to abandon you when you need them the most is not your fucking friend.
No.
And it's a powerful thing. It's a very powerful thing. And, so anyway, that was just something that came to mind.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I love that. Let me just go through the rest of these chats here while we're still waiting. Just to recap. So thinking about it, thank you for the super chat. At 1.75x speed, this sounds like a news broadcast reacting to a live situation. And right now it is. I want to just say, for the record, guys, 8 years ago, when Aaron and I talked about starting YouTube, we talked about doing a news channel together where we were just doing like Scientology news on the daily. And 8 years ago, you guys have to realize there was really not stuff to talk about every single day that was like news, because there just wasn't as much stuff happening as there is now. And by that, I mean progress towards getting Scientology shut down. There would be things that we would definitely want to, if we knew 8 years ago, Aaron, here's a question. If you knew 8 years ago that all these things would be happening because of all the effort you put in for 8 years and everything else that happened, the TV shows, the movies, the books, would you have believed that that was really going to come true in such a short amount of time?
I don't think so. I mean, it's one of these, and it's hard to, really put yourself back at that time, because it's such it was so not on the radar. Like, it wasn't even a thought. I mean, we started the channels before there was a TV show.
Right.
We started a channel when there was just like a blog or two.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even then, like, we hardly did anything with the channels.
No, I did. I mean, I had 7 videos, guys, sitting there for 5 years. And they got like hundreds of thousands of views. Thank you very much to everybody who watched those. But, like Aaron was pumping out videos for all the years, just, and steadily pumping them out. And now here we are doing daily content, and we're, and we get, and how many more like friends like Sir Crepitus and the majority of the people who are out here right now waiting for Michael to come out, who, by the way, is also a never in, do we have now? This is the difference that I keep trying to explain to people, that like this literal organically grown movement is so tremendous, is so completely just amazes me on a daily basis what has happened, and this snowball effect that's happening now. Because as I pointed out earlier today or yesterday, the protests have been going on for a year straight now, over a year.
Isn't that incredible? And there's even more interest in it now than there was back then.
Right. And we were all thinking, oh, well, the protests, these guys are going to get bored. They're not going to care. And I've said it a million times, and I'll say it again. The never ends are going to be the ones that are going to bring Scientology down, because people like Sir Crepitus, people like Michael, people like Solomon, who's sitting there, and Confident Chris and Jessica and Streets and all of these guys. I don't have SPTV space open. That would take 20 minutes to read all those names, because it grows every day. the list of people on sbtv.space who are protesting around the world. Scientology has never experienced this. They do not know what to do. Not only with the fantastic protest that's going on at Big Blue right now with the tents and the cooking and all of that, but like just literally like I went to Ventura, Oregon by myself and they shut all the doors and put music out there because it was just me, just one person. They couldn't handle it. They couldn't come out and have a conversation with me. I was like, wow.
And, I mean, I just want to reinforce and piggyback on what you're saying. I mean, I can't even say enough about how everything that's happened over the last year has culminated to where we are. But look at what's happening. Look at what's happening on L. Ron Hubbard Way. Look at what DOA is doing. Look at what people like 86 GOP are helping make possible with their support of the protest channels. Like when I use the phrase, this is Scientology's worst nightmare, it's quite literal. A bunch of people with cell phones and an internet connection is what's going to take Scientology down.
Yeah.
And yes, it's going to take Congress and it's going to take the IRS and it's going to take states attorneys and prosecutors. That's where the rubber's really going to meet the road. But that shit's not going to happen without the public exposure and pressure. Those people who we're counting on to do the real work in the halls of power and in the courts, those people need to be able to see the popular grassroots support there is for ending Scientology abuse and revoking the tax exemption. They have to have something to motivate them to take action. Okay. And it is this sort of grassroots popular work that is going to be what lets the people in the halls of power go, oh, this is something we can actually do, and we will get the popular support. That's that's all Congress people care about. Okay, they care about money and they care about popular support, right?
They care about their votes and their wallet. Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, from a law enforcement standpoint, Sir Crepitus, do you think that the LAPD might just be like, you know what, this paycheck from Celebrity Center, which is, you know, in the global thing, just sort of like all of Scientology at that point, because that's who pays the Police Activity League. Like, maybe it's not worth it. Maybe we just say to our officers, you don't get to take that triple salary to go work off duty for these guys, because we got to get back to our roots, which is protect and serve. And we have like actual tax paying citizens that we need to protect. Like, do you think that could ever happen inside the LAPD?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, LAPD, like LA County sheriffs, you know, they have policies that prevent officers from working certain types of side gigs because they call it a conflict of interest.
Right.
And if this relationship between LAPD and Scientology is damaging LAPD, yeah, it very well could be a time when LAPD says, okay, no more side gigs at Scientology. Not happening.
Right.
It's a conflict of interest. It could happen, but it's going to take a lot more pushing.
Yeah. And that's why I love the pressure that the protesters are putting on all over Los Angeles here, Big Blue, at La Poubelle, also in the Burbank org, which, you know, we know is technically not LA, but kind of like they all work together. The Valley org, though, would be in the LAPD purview because it's, you know, the Valley is part of Los Angeles. Is so weird. Most people who've never lived in LA don't understand that, but LA encompasses like, you know, how many square miles is like it's over 1,000 or something like that.
Yeah, I think so. The county of Los Angeles is over 4,000 square miles. I think LA City is just a little, either just a touch under or a touch over 1,000. Right.
But LAPD patrols almost all of LA County in conjunction with the sheriff in a few places that they patrol, right?
Yeah, well, the sheriff's department, they patrol unincorporated areas of LA County and also contract cities. You know, if a city contracts our department to provide services. LAPD strictly patrols just the city of Los Angeles. And there are a few cities that do contract with them to provide services also. Like
Encino or Tarzana, things like that are like in the Valley, or do they have their own police force now?
Tarzana, I am not sure. Actually, is Tarzana even in LA County or are they in Ventura County?
They're still in LA County. Ventura County doesn't start till like Thousand Oaks.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with Tarzana, so I'm not really sure if LAPD actually patrols that area.
Might be the sheriff. Yeah. Because I know there's a lot of crossover between, like where one cop is and then the other,
Yeah, if LAPD isn't patrolling Tarzana, then they have their own police department because LA County Sheriff's doesn't patrol that area. But,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Big
let's. Days by Dogs is a member for 3 months. This is such an informative stream. Thank you. #free Michael. Joni Cummings, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for all the information. That one's for you, Aaron. Thinking about it. Says Laura and Serge harmonizing just convinced me to start an SPTV highlight reel channel. Well, fantastic. And thank you for the super chat for that. A question for Sir Crepidus. I'm sure LAPD watches your streams and is aware you're a retired police officer. Do you feel they approach you differently than other protesters when they speak to you?
Well, I hope they're watching my streams because, well, I have not been very favorable of their behavior, to say the least. I hope they are watching. But if they're watching, I guarantee you their brass is seeing it too.
Okay.
But,
good.
I will admit, within the law enforcement community, there is a certain level of professional courtesy that goes on. For example, when Denver Scientology audits Jay was arrested, LAPD closed their doors and locked it so protesters couldn't get in the lobby. And
right.
Normally I don't do this. I'm against doing this, but for the cause I did it. I badged my way in through the door. They let me in. They let me stay inside. I was able to talk to the jailer to try to help expedite things a little bit. So yes, there would be some treatment with me that would be different from the protesters.
Do you think you could have a meeting with the brass about this situation to kind of change what's going on? Do you think you would be able to have that kind of impact, or any single person, retired or not, would be able to have that kind of impact to be like, hey, we're on the wrong side of this kind of thing?
Yeah, I would love to have a meeting with the LAPD brass. As a matter of fact, I've been waiting for this interim police chief to be replaced by a permanent one. And I'm going to try my very hardest to try to get my foot in that door because, aside from making themselves look like absolute asses, they're violating the law, especially when it pertains to private persons' arrests. And I come from a law enforcement family, and I've spent my the majority of my life in law enforcement. I've always supported law enforcement as long as they're doing the right thing. And I've always defended them as long as they're doing the right thing. To see this really, really upsets me because it reflects on all law enforcement. And even though I'm retired, I feel like it reflects on me too. It's just angering, very angering.
Yeah, no, I can see that. And I just want to say again, for the record, I sincerely appreciate your support and everything you're doing out here. I know that I could, I would feel the same way if I saw people that I used to work with doing these things. And knowing them personally, do you know what I mean? And knowing their true character, because we all have, a bit of an online persona, even though I'm just mostly this. Anybody who knows me, that's just pretty much it. It is different, your work vibe, and especially for police who have to have that tough persona, all the time, because you're facing life and death situations as an officer of the law. But in these instances, as you correctly pointed out, where they're just, not following those ordinances and laws on behalf of a criminal organization, it's sad. It's sad to see that, Yeah,
it's sad. And, they're getting very close to having a RICO issue, LAPD.
Yeah.
I think you are correct on that count.
Yep. Aaron, question
and I
for
found,
you.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, good. I'm glad you pulled this up.
Yeah. Is the SPTV Foundation equipped to deal with immigration issues? Some of those Sea Org members might not be able to leave on their own. I'm thinking of the Iranian woman you interviewed.
Oh, yeah. This is a piece of cake. That is an absolute piece of cake. Working with the FBI, you can get these immigration problems are no problem.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Asking, so what will happen to them when they age for the people in the Sea Org? Did you ever have any experience with any of your juniors or anything getting old?
Doris Hart, they literally just shipped her the hell out of the Sea Org. Remember, Doris was a word clearer at ASHO. And then there was Tom Arimento, who was old and disabled. Somehow he had some huge disability pension. And the medical liaison officer at ASHO, Travis Palzer. Tom Arimento had so much money somehow that he bought Travis a car so that Travis could drive him to all of his medical appointments. He eventually got so disabled he couldn't walk. He had to he would ride in one of those scooters all the time. Like he actually could not walk. And so even though and the only reason they let this guy stay in the Sea Org is because he was loaded and he could pay for his own medical treatment. But the org took his money and basically bought a car for the MLO. Wow. And so, but again, the only reason they let him stick around is because he had a ton of money from some either disability or pension or Medicare or a combination of all of those things.
Wow.
And look, the other day I've been meaning to do another video, an update video on Scientology and the elderly, because the other day when we were on L. Ron Hubbard Way, you had this guy there who was like 80, 85 years old, power washing for 2 hours, just to make noise for the protesters. That guy shouldn't be there anymore. There's no retirement for Sea Org members. They work until they die. And that's what happens when they get old. And it's not only that Scientology is losing members faster than people are joining. The Sea Org members are dying faster than they can recruit new Sea Org members. That is how old the Sea Org population is getting.
And did you know if they still have that MLO facility where they had like the terminally ill peeps? Is that still happening?
Yeah, that's still a thing. That's still there.
I meant to go there when I was down there last time. I need to make like a special trip just to go there to just try and talk to them.
Well, in fact, our friend Kylie Rose Pierce is there with some sort of brain cancer or something.
That blows my mind, guys. Kylie Rose Pierce, we jokingly used to call her Sandra D because she was so young and she is Australian. And so, it was like a whole thing. But like, thinking about her on her deathbed right now, and we are not that far apart in age, is so unbelievably shocking and sad to me that she's going to sit there in that same house. I guess her husband, Damien, lives there with her or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like
Damien, who lost his leg being dragged under a car, and his wife's dying of brain cancer. I mean, these are like the Sea Org's elite members. Damien was like one of the only actual high producing auditor at ASHO.
Yep. And at CC when he was there too.
What's that?
He was at CC too.
That's right. And his wife, Grace Kevitt, was an auditor at CC. I guess he divorced Grace and married Kylie.
Yeah.
These are young people.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they're
like, even when they're dying, you think they would just let them go live a normal life until they die.
Parents or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and Kylie's being held here. She's Australian. I'm sure her R1 visa has been expired unless she got citizenship by marrying Damien.
Yeah. But like her dad was a really wealthy architect from Australia. He ended up being like the FLB landlord or something like this. Like, it's not like these are people who have no options in the real world. The Sea Org just won't let them go.
No, never. Sins of Scientology says, I must say, Oh No, Nora does an amazing job in hosting. She's on top of it all. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate. SPTV Inc. Question for Sir Crepitus. How do you mentally handle civil unrest? By telling yourself the police were there to maintain order first, or protecting people protesting or counter-protesting? That's a very good question.
That is a very good question, actually. So in my career, I have been involved in many riots and instances of civil unrest throughout the years, not just in the jails, but also out in the streets. We are supposed to be fair and impartial. That's just all there is to it. The police officer's job when they're out there, we're just supposed to be protecting life and then property. And as we've seen, during recent civil unrest, it doesn't always happen. But no, the police officers should not be taking sides. We're not trained to take sides. We're just supposed to be there to protect life and property. That's it.
But it is life before property, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. I think people sometimes get that twisted a little bit.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we're seeing it in real time. LAPD's taking sides, and they're really not supposed to be doing that. That goes against what law enforcement is supposed to stand for. So,
yeah, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Annabelle is a new member. Thank you so much for that. Capricious Caroline, also a new member. Fantastic. Mama D63, thank you for the super chat. Love live coverage of events. Yes, us too. John Shamwowski, thanks for the super sticker. Church of Scientology's stupid attacks have supercharged the protest. Yes, they have. Yes, they have. Sir Crepidus from Proof 9/11. You think that Sergeant has a thick disciplinary file for charges to be dropped? Seems really odd, even for light touching. And they were a civilian employee for 28 years.
Yeah. Now, this Sergeant Lobo, he's a Sergeant 1. He's very recently promoted. So from a supervisory standpoint, he's probably pretty inexperienced. What it boils down to with the sergeant, and again, as I said, from other streams that I saw, I could see the nervousness and anger building up in him before his contact with with Michael. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's got something in his background. Anybody can do a FOIA request to see what kind of disciplinary record he has. But just based on what I saw, I would not be surprised if there's something there from his past that he's been disciplined before, because he's a hothead. He really is.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and that's dangerous.
Absolutely. And it's one thing if you're in a situation with an actual violent or potentially violent crowd, but the LAPD knows that these anti-Scientology protesters have never gotten violent. They already know this, and that's why when you see a guy in a position of authority like that lose his cool like that so quickly around a group of people that he knows doesn't pose a threat, it was only because his ego was hurt, his feelings were hurt. And when a guy loses his cool just because of that, this is a guy who's had a problem on the job. Now, it's a little concerning that a guy like that still gets promoted through the ranks.
Yeah, it happens. Back in the day, Sheriff's Department, LAPD, if you wanted to get promoted, you had to go through a testing process, but then you also had to get an appraisal from your unit commander, basically vouching that, yeah, he's mature enough, he's experienced enough to be a supervisor, he would do a good job. They don't do that anymore, and it's for political reasons I probably shouldn't get into here. But yeah, it is a political issue, and they're just trying to. I'll just go ahead and say they're trying to be as diverse as possible is what they're trying to do, and they're not doing those appraisals anymore. They're just not doing it. It's not to cast shade on any particular group or people, but it's just the reality of it. But the selection process is pretty scary, because I've seen supervisors out there myself, even back when I was working, that had absolutely zero business being out there supervising, let alone doing police work. Shocking stuff I've seen out there.
Yeah, I believe it.
One thing I noticed too in all the streams that I reviewed, I was amazed to see that the regular beat officers were actually more calm and more professional than Sergeant Lobo. That says a lot about Sergeant Lobo.
I noticed that as well.
Yeah.
That's true. Even when DOA was getting worked up and getting angry and yelling, that those lower ranked officers were totally understanding, because they could see what was happening.
Yeah. And a field supervisor's job, they're supposed to be there to supervise, to make sure their officers are doing the right thing. And if the officers are not acting in a way that the supervisor wants them to, the supervisor is supposed to step in and direct his officers on what they need to do. And that sergeant did almost none of that. He just lost his cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Currently, right now, there are 16 channels live Thank you, NatCat180 for the super chat. 203 SPTV channels total. Guys, that blows my mind. Do you remember there was like, we were like, guys, there's like 25 SPTV channels, and now there's 200. And Aaron, look what you did. Look what you did.
It's incredible. It's incredible. I mean, look, it's a perfect storm, a combination between William Good, Streets LA, getting the protesting movement started, and then the channels jumping in to support the protesters and to show them that they will be supported. Because these SPTV channels are a combination of former Scientologists and people who've never been in Scientology, and it's a real like symbiotic relationship, and I absolutely love how it's going.
Absolutely. SPTV Inc. member for 3 months. Digital protests. Write your U.S. representative asking if they will support hearings into Scientology tax exempt status. Sample letter on their community page. So go check that out below. Check out SPTV Inc. and get that sample letter. KWAX 1978, you are so appreciated, Sir Crepitus. So much love, seriously, for you in the chat here, Sir Crepitus. Anna from Canada, who's a member, says, Sir Crepitus is a great supporter. All of the applause there. Tommy Tone, Toontown, agree 100% with Sir Crepitus. The crap few bad apple officers makes the rest of the good officers look bad and lose the public trust.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cinny Buns. Oh, Cinny Buns. There we go. I read it right now. Thanks for the super chat. Love y'all. I must know what mic Nora is using. I'm actually using the same one that Aaron is using. It is a Shure. I don't remember the model number.
MV7. I think mine actually, there's something slightly wrong with it. So if it sounds like Nora sounds better than me, she probably does.
But also the magic, guys, is in getting this cable. Getting the XLR cable.
Oh, you're using the XLR cable.
Yes.
So what are you using, like a cloud lifter and everything too?
I have my Rode board. I can't lift it up because there's other things on top of it on my desk because this is a construction zone, guys. I apologize. But yeah, I have a Rode mixer that it goes through.
Are you using a MacBook?
I am.
Okay, I need to get because I have a Rode. I have a Rode. Thing.
Yes, get that Rode.
Oh no, I have a Mix Pre 3. I have a Mix Pre 3.
Yeah, that'll work.
Huh? Okay, I'm gonna have to figure it out.
Of butteriness counts. Please get that buttery.
Yeah.
Yes, get your buttery soft voice today.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. Question, Nora, was it you or Natalie who said Tori Magoo's sign? Oh, it was me. I saw Tori Magoo's sign when she was standing out in front of the HGB when I was on the RPF. Natalie may have also seen it, but I definitely saw that when they were driving us around. And that did plant a seed in my head. Like, why is this lady out there marching around pretty much by herself? Like, and then I saw her sign and I was like, that sounds important. And I thought about it for a long time.
What was the sign? Do you remember?
It was a pink sign. That's all I remember is that it was pink and it had some black words on it. Like she had drawn on it with like a big Sharpie. But I just remember her standing out there with this pink sign and I knew she was protesting. So I had like a mix of thoughts about it. I had the thoughts of like, she's an SP. She is a bad person. Why is she doing this? And then when I saw her out there multiple days, I thought maybe she's onto something. Like, why would she be out there all the time if it wasn't important, Stephanie says the female officer was trying to remove the officer from Michael. You can hear her start yelling at him to move out of sight. Yeah. It clearly everybody was trying to get that guy under control. Sarah S., thanks for being a member. I do have a good talk show host voice. Thank you. I've been working on my NPR voice, and now on NPR we will. I'm just kidding.
Next up, we have Aaron's sweaty balls. They're delicious.
No, thank you. I'll pass.
Okay. Buttery, sweaty, salty balls.
That is one of the best skits that ever happened on SNL. And then they brought it back when she came to host again. It was so great. I think Aaron is the only ex-Scientology member that has been arrested. All other arrests are never ends. Is that true? I think so.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess that. Well, Oh, that's right. Michael's never been in as well.
No,
Yeah.
Michael's never in. I'm trying to think of everybody. And that's why I say over and over and over again what I say. Not because we're too pretty to get arrested. I mean, Aaron certainly wasn't, even though it wasn't a real arrest. It was like fake. But it was real enough for you to be handcuffed.
Wait, in honor of this arrest, I'm going to go put on the sweatshirt Serge gave me that I got arrested in. I'll be right back.
All right.
And
so
then there's two.
SBTV Inc. says digital protests. Write your U.S. representative asking if they will support hearings into the Scientology tax exempt status. Once again, sample letter on their page. We got a super chat and we got this one. Thank you so much for that. Just a Northern girl asking, Sir Crepidus, do you have the right to interact with the police without Scientology security standing there? They always talk to Sciento in private, but Scientology is there when the cops talk to the protesters.
Yeah, well, in cases like that, the cops control what's going on right there, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with politely asking the officer, could I please talk to you in private? Could you please step over here to the side and talk to me?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with doing that. Generally, it's a good idea if police officers roll in, there's multiple police officers, they'll want to send the handling officer, the officer that's handling the incident, to go talk to the informant, which would be Scientology, right? And they should also send other officers to go stand by and maybe talk to the protesters so they can start getting both sides of the story. That's generally what I would do. The way LAPD is handling things by bypassing the protesters and going straight to Scientology security, it just looks bad. It makes it look like they're playing favoritism. But yeah, do not.
Oh, I gotta ask a question here too. I gotta ask another question.
Go for it.
Yeah.
I could not believe my eyes when I saw in Chicago the police officer show up to clean chalk off of a sidewalk, and he walked into the Scientology building, came out with a bucket of water, and personally cleaned chalk off of the sidewalk. What is your opinion on that?
Well, that's a no-no because now that officer is infringing on First Amendment rights, it's not up to him to do that. By the officer doing that, he's showing that he's taking a political side. He's taking sides. That's it's basically like a conflict of interest, I guess you could say.
Wow.
And very inappropriate.
And we need a streets of Chicago. We need a streets Chicago and a streets Austin. Like we need someone. And I look, I haven't been paying close enough attention to all the videos. So not throwing any shade if someone has stepped up to fill this role of like really, really knowing what the rules are and filing reports on the officers every time they break the rules. I mean, I think Streets and his determination and his comprehensive knowledge and his diligence in following up on these things, Streets is the reason these LA protests have been able to continue on the way that they have, in my opinion. And I think there has to be someone in each area to try and fill that role.
Yeah. I would just caution people, though. I mean, Streets is experienced. He knows what he's doing. And he has absolutely, Aaron, you're right. He's been very effective. I would just caution people, just be careful about the way you talk to the police officers. Streets can handle himself. And of course, it's his right to say what he wants to say. But just be careful. If you're not prepared to handle a confrontation like that, you don't want to get yourself into hot water.
That's true. That is definitely true.
Yeah, absolutely. Comment from Anna from Canada. They didn't expect us never ends worldwide. They can't stop us. Every time Scientology tries, they just give more content for protesters and enrage those who are watching. Hundy P. Sins of Scientology. Question: are off-duty police supposed to be wearing their uniform? This is for you, Sir Crepidus.
Well, the short answer is no. However, a lot of people misunderstand the uniformed LAPD officers working at Scientology events. Sometimes people assume that they're off-duty working a side security gig. They're not. Like LA sheriffs, LAPD also has a policy. You can't wear your uniform working a side gig. But those LAPD officers you'll see at Big Blue, for example, during Scientology events, they may be working overtime, but they're in a law enforcement capacity. Usually the city would recoup the money for the minutes that the officers spent there from Scientology, unless the city's just doing Scientology a favor. But those uniformed officers are there in a peace officer capacity. They just happen to be assigned to this security task by the department.
Okay, that makes
sense. Is that something that only happens when a permit has been pulled? I'm truly, genuinely confused about this. Why? I'm trying to think of a specific example. Oh, well, the example is Scientology closing down L. Ron Hubbard Way. The constant police presence that we see there, they're on duty? Why are they like, who decides you're going to go and stand there and protect Scientology's interests?
Well, basically what you're looking at is you're looking at Scientology having a contract with the Los Angeles Police Department or the city of Los Angeles. Those officers are there to provide security for that event. So yeah, they are there to protect Scientology's interests at that particular time for that event.
But is it because it's permitted? Like, why is that? Why are they allowed to make that call? Well, let's do a contrast. Why aren't there police officers showing up just to stand there and protect the protesters' interests? What's the difference?
Well, some departments, when they know that there's a group of protesters at the location, lots of times they'll send officers just to go monitor from a distance, just to keep an eye on things, to make sure things don't get out of hand. That's what you would call something like a patrol check, for example. But you know, when you have people gathering at a location and they're protesting, it's not like an official event where, you know, the public can come and partake in festivities. You know what I mean? You would be very hard pressed to be able to get law enforcement to show up just to, you know, do security for the protesters. Now, protesters, they can call the local police and say, hey, we're going to be protesting here today. Would you guys mind doing some patrol checks? They will. They'll drive by and make sure everything's good. Maybe they'll sit down the street and watch a little bit. And once they think everything is good, they may leave. And they may come and go throughout the day. But it would be nice if protesters could ask for some type of uniform presence to keep them safe. But I've never seen it happen before.
All right.
Question: isn't it incredibly difficult to remove a qualified immunity from a police officer?
Yes, it can. And, you know, some of the laws have changed since I retired. So I am not fully schooled on the new laws. They're making the government's making it easier now to remove that qualified immunity. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it used to be almost impossible. But yeah, they've made it a lot easier now. It's possible it can happen. It's way easier than it used to be.
Okay. Comment from Jill Randolph: if Scientology hadn't pissed off Streets LA, we wouldn't be here now. This is very true.
It's so true. It really is so true.
He's influential, and he's a good guy. So, you know, and he's very smart. Teresa Gerwow, member for 2 months. I'm so happy to catch this live, and we are happy you are here, my friend. James Smith, question: what if a Sea Org member did something illegal or criminal and Scientology knows about these crimes? They absolutely do. What if the member thinks they will go to jail if they try to leave?
The truth is, if the Sea Org, if the Sea Org finds out that a member, and we can probably think of some exceptions to this, but that a current member is guilty of a crime for which they can be imprisoned and which is still within the statute of limitations, they will offload that Sea Org member. They won't turn them in. They will offload them. They'll just be like, bye-bye, you're gone.
Or if they have a passport, or they can't, like, let's take the case of Angelo Scozzi. okay, who was Italian. He was the commanding officer of AOLA, and he essayed his 15-year-old, secretary. He was put on the RPF, and then when he graduated the RPF, they were like, "Bye, Felicia, you're going back to Italy," because they did keep him on the back base for almost a decade doing the RPF, which I found redonkulous. But as soon as he, had met their qualifications of like paying enough penance, and basically the statute of limitations had passed at that point, then they sent him away to Italy, because they do want to make sure they can control the situation 100% and also convince that person it's not really about the legality, because let's face it, there's just chock-a-block crime sitting there in those PC folders, but it's about the fear that one of these criminals will get pulled in by the police and they will start spilling the beans about everything else that's going on in Scientology to like try and make some deal for themselves to get out of the legal jam that they are now in. And so they do the relocation thing. Like, look what they did with Miriam's dad. They took him from Australia and put him first in England and then America, where I was on the RPF with him. So they just human traffic people around the world to cover it up. And if that doesn't work, then they finally do exactly what you said, Aaron. They offload them and then send them away. But that person at that point is so crippled mentally that they believe if they say anything about anything that happened, they're going to be in Scientology purgatory for the rest of their life, declared an SP and all that other stuff. They're just happy to not be declared at that point,
Yeah.
Donna Hannibal, aka Ramon's girl, what you just said about us never ends gave me chills. It's the way you guys treat us. It makes us feel like family, or makes me feel like family, and I go to bat for my family any day. And thank you so much for that, Donna. We appreciate you guys so much. Kenny Adcox, when do you think that Michael will get out? Well, it's 6 o'clock now, so he should be getting out any minute. That's my guess. What do you think, Sir Crepitus?
Any minute.
Anytime
up until 7. So
all right, so any minute now.
We're here for it.
We're here. We're gonna
keep your questions coming. It's what keeps us on the air.
Let's keep them going here.
By the way, a quick reminder though, for all you guys who've stuck with us through this stream so far, if you're still watching right now, just do us a favor and hit that like button if you haven't yet. Oh yeah,
like it.
I like it a lot.
Matt Elliott, MAASPTV Canada. Sir Crepitus, have you heard anything offline from people you know about what's going on? You got an inside scoop. That's the question.
Well,
I don't know what this refers to though.
Yeah, I think it's referring to LAPD.
Mm-hmm.
I unfortunately, all of the ins at LAPD that I had have all retired, and most have moved out of California. I have 0 ins at LAPD now, so that's unfortunate. Otherwise I could be getting some juicy info probably, because my buddies would tell me just about anything.
Oh, okay. Well,
but
maybe they're talking to people though, even though they're out of the state now. I mean, who knows?
I was just about to say, I'll reach out, see what I can find out.
Yes, let's find out. Absolutely. Question from Mandy Beach for Sir Crepitus. Can you explain how Scientology pays for officers, please, for those in the chat? It's quite useful info.
Okay. So generally what happens is, and this not only goes for Scientology, it can go for any public event that's going on. The city, depending on the type of event it is, may require either private security or a police presence. And generally what would happen is the LAPD would look at the needs of Scientology for that particular event. They would come up with an operations plan. They'd figure out how many officers are they going to need, how many vehicles are they going to need, and so on and so forth. And then once the event is over, the city would normally bill Scientology or the event organizer for all of the services that they provided. It's not uncommon for the city to greatly discount that cost.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for Scientology, they got that cozy relationship going on. So I'm sure that they're probably getting quite the discount.
Yeah, I'm sure this is a friends and family discount at this point.
Yeah.
Donna Hannibal, aka Ramon's girl, Aaron or Nora, would it be okay for me to start an SBTV highlights page for Facebook? I would give each creator credit for the content I post. I think I can reach a lot of the OG peeps. I'm okay with that. Aaron, what say you?
I mean, I'm okay with it. I mean, Utology pretty much does that, and fans of SPTV pretty much does that, but more the merrier.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get more. If you've got friends that aren't watching anything, maybe you'll get them interested and they'll come on over. Shirley Ann Christopher, thank you for the super chat. Wonderful. She did Shirley. She did it on both our channels. Look at that. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for that. Jenny Chi, member for 2 months. Amazing to see the community growth. Good job. Absolutely, Jenny. I agree. Up Mayo, member for 3 months. Teamwork makes the dream work. Absolutely. The door is still closed. Caitlin Clark's body Thetan. I don't think she has any, guys. I think she's OT 1 million. I'm just going to say it out loud. Thank you for the super chat. I didn't have Michael on my bingo card to get arrested. Me neither. That was not, that was a surprise. Cav 71265 is a new member. Thank you for that. Irrelevant Panda, member for 2 months. What is on the shirt Serge gave you, Aaron? Model it.
I know it looks like Leah Remini, but it's not. It's just someone blowing smoke. It's just, I don't know. Is this a fashion thing? It says V Sol V.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure.
I don't know. I just showed up. Whatever I was wearing, Serge said
$1,000. It's from Burberry. I don't know.
Whatever it was I was wearing, Serge said, "You're not going out in that," and he said, "Wear this."
She's a fashionista, Serge is, and we do whatever she says when she, when Serge is in that mode, you just say, okay, you're not going to fight with the fashion police coming from Serge. That's just facts. Donna Hannibal, Sir Crepitus, there are so many good police officers. How do we get out the bad? And do you remember the Kelly Thomas case out of Fullerton? Ron Thomas is a friend of mine, retired sheriff. Yeah. That's like a 3-part question.
Yeah, Ron Thomas actually sounds familiar. I don't know if he was on LA County Sheriff's Department or not. If so, I'd probably know who he is. Yeah, when I first went to the academy in 1990, the older generation deputies would say, "Oh, look at this younger generation. They're pieces of crap. They're lazy, blah, blah, blah." Well, in some cases, maybe that was true. But, every new generation of deputies or police officers that get hired on, it seems like the work ethic just gets worse and worse and worse. And when you compound that with the fact that these police departments and sheriff's departments are lowering standards to try to hire more people because they're like Scientology, they're losing people faster than they can keep them.
Wow.
So they're lowering the standards. Yeah. And, a lot of bad people are slipping through the cracks. And, the only thing I could tell people is if you witness something, some type of police misconduct, you can make a third-party complaint. You don't have to be the victim of the misconduct. You can make a third-party complaint. If you are the victim of the misconduct, make a complaint. You go to their station, you ask for the watch commander, and you file a complaint. Because, bad police officers, eventually they're going to get so many complaints. Somebody's going to notice, and they're either going to be moved to a position where they can't hurt anybody, or they're going to get terminated.
Yeah.
That's really the only way they get weeded out, unless they do something so egregious and horrible that they get caught and they end up getting fired for that offense. But yeah, it's really the only thing you can do. And I encourage people to do it. I myself, I love police officers. I know what they go through, but I absolutely will not tolerate corrupt cops. It makes me sick. Won't put up with it.
I love that. This is for Aaron. Where can El Sarmento find the Iranian woman interview?
Oh, I believe they're talking about Merced or Merced. Let me pull it up on. Okay. So the name of the video, if you just search for it in Google, is former Scientology Sea Org member Merced or Mercedes Mirshami. So her name is spelled Mersede, Last name Mirshhamsi. So, Mershamsi. So Merced Mershamsi, and I'm sure I'm pronouncing it wrong. I pronounce it right in the video, but it's been like 7 months since I spoke with her, so I just forget how to pronounce the name. And actually, will it let me post a link in the live chat? Well, let me try it. I'm not one of your mods, so maybe not. Or
just put it in the private chat for me, and then I can pull it up.
Okay, good. It looks like it might have worked, but here, I'll give it to you right there.
Okay. There we go.
Oh, yeah. It might have only commented in my channel. Oh, yeah. Because when I comment, it only comments on my channel. You can comment on your channel.
So it's here. Former Scientology SIRG member, Mirshami. Boom. On Aaron's channel. Go right there. Also, make sure you're subscribed.
Man, I'm dying to see Michael come out of that place.
I know. It's still not.
I see Jessica's there as well.
Yeah.
Aja's at Big Blue, so she's not there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something.
There. I thought I saw her. I thought I saw her for a second.
Who?
Aja, but we'll see here. Let's see. Okay. So this is Serge's stream. I love that he does it in black and white. I had that idea and then he did it already. So I was like, oh, I can't stream in black and white. But it's beautiful. I love it. I love it. Okay. Another question from Joras here. Police officers off duty can work a second job as security. Scientology will pay quadruple the amount that anyone else does, including big corporations. Their part-time salary could be bigger than their police officer pay. Would that be like a conflict of interest if they're earning more money outside, but they would probably keep their job for their union benefits and everything, right?
Yeah, with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, yeah, that would be considered a conflict of interest. I don't know how far LAPD's policy goes as far as conflict of interest goes.
Okay.
But yeah, that pension and those medical benefits are a major deal. So
it's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Carla A wants to know, what's your take on JDSA having to meet with the city attorney? Sir Crepitus.
Ooh, that's a good question. I have mixed feelings about that. I can kind of see through that. As far as a court trial goes, Jay wouldn't get convicted. I just don't think so. I really think they're going the city attorney route to try to hold him accountable in some way. But one thing that I would caution is, the DA can still go back and file charges if things with the city attorney's office doesn't go really well. I would not be surprised to see Scientology attorneys there present at that meeting. And anything Jay says in that meeting could possibly be used against him if the filing DA changed their mind and decided to file an actual case against him in court. Because a city attorney, I believe they're pursuing a city municipal code violation is what they're looking at, rather than a violation of the penal code.
Okay.
So Jay should be really cautious. And I believe he retained an attorney, or he will be retaining an attorney. His attorney will tell him the same thing. He just needs to make sure he has his attorney with him when he goes to that meeting. Don't go without an attorney, for God's sake.
Oh, yeah. You heard it here, guys, from a retired law enforcement officer. Don't meet with people without your attorney.
Yeah. Keep your lips sealed. I answer no questions.
I mean, you would basically, when someone reads you Miranda, and I've told my kids this, if they get, somehow detained, and you need to ask, are you free to go? Am I under arrest? And if the answer to those two things are no and yes, then you say, I want my attorney. And then that's it.
Can I expound on that a little bit, Nora?
Yeah, no, please do. Please do.
Yeah. A lot of people need to understand too, is sometimes, and I've used this tactic myself in making some arrests, sometimes a suspect will just start talking and we'll just sit back and just let them go. And you would be amazed at how often they incriminate themselves. And, because those are considered spontaneous statements, that doesn't fall under Miranda. That can be used against you in court. So don't talk, don't say anything. Keep your mouth shut. Get a lawyer.
There you go. There you go, guys. You heard it here. Comment. This portrait mode is very controversial, guys. I'm late behind. Dark Rose Siren. Just want to say, Nora, when you're in portrait mode, I can't cast to my TV, so I sadly skip lives because I'm not watching on my phone for various reasons. I got you.
These are the same messages I get from people who watch YouTube on their TV, and I cannot believe how many people watch YouTube on their TV.
Yeah, they do. I do sometimes. I'll be honest. I'll be multitasking in the morning because I'm trying to catch up on everything. So I'll have one stream on my TV, and then, guys, I have two phones, and so then I'm doing things on my two phones at the same time. So yeah, I am that person as well. I do like to watch some things. Like sometimes I watch you on the TV, Aaron. Because you're putting stuff up, and I want to see it big because I'm old now and I need to see stuff big. Bush. Oh my goodness, I couldn't read. Bushfire Blonde. Hey, Ron, do you know if James Packer is still in Scientology? He was harpooned by Tom Cruise.
He is not still in Scientology.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Christina Lembo says there was an officer that did go ask Jessica to explain what the protest was about and thanked her for explaining it and was shocked to learn about what Scientology does. Shocked.
Nice.
You know, when that night when I went to go try to expedite Jay's release, the two officers I was talking to at the counter had no idea what Scientology was about, and I engaged them and talked to them. Before I know it, the female officer is on her phone Googling all this stuff. I told her, Google Scientology scandals, Scientology abuse, Google SPTV. You're going to be amazed. And yeah, she started Googling, and yeah, her eyes got kind of big at one point.
Yeah, and I think this would be, eventually they're going to be one of the groups that are, somebody lost their signal there. They're going to be one of the groups that people talk about, that people decide, like this is, it's going to be education. They're going to be in the cult files and like, watch out for these guys. Here's what they do. Here's how they try to control the thing. My mod is reminding me there's memberships here if you want them. Also, as Aaron has reminded us several times throughout our 24-hour stream of the door here at the jail, please like and subscribe. Please hit that like on our channels here. It does help us out. Keeps the lights on, the many lights, all those things. These little twinkly lights I just got. Keep those lights on. Max's mom, member for 2 months. Pearl Snappy is the streets of Austin. Yes, she does have a wealth of knowledge about the ordinances and things like that. And she has filed a number of complaints. But because she's mostly there by herself, she doesn't have time to go. Streets has like a whole crew now. So they stay and protest, and then he goes and files the paperwork, So we got to get her some more backup out there in Austin.
Sounds good.
Yeah. What to say to Sea Org members? If you want to leave, we will help you with your immigration papers. Can they say that, Aaron? I think that's a question.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. Capricious Caroline says these officers need to de-escalate these situations. Props to those officers who are calm, cool, and collected. Wish they were all like that. Absolutely. Another question for our most popular guest ever, Aaron Sir Crepitus. Why would LAPD officers be willing to take Scientology's side over people outside? I also have this question because the people that are protesting are taxpayers in Los Angeles, and none of the Sea Org members pay taxes, which means they don't contribute to their salary. Why?
Yeah. Now, I believe a big part of this has to do with not the individual officers out on the streets. It has to do with the executives within their department. Because the Church of Scientology has religious status, which is a shame. It is a priority of most law enforcement agencies to give some priority to religious organizations or churches because of some of the mass shootings that's happened in the past, and other violence against religious groups in the past. So they do tend to prioritize them a little bit. That being said, we all know about the relationship LAPD has with Scientology and the amount of money that changes hands for fundraisers and so on and so forth. That relationship is too cozy. And I can guarantee you that the officers giving Scientology so much clout out in the field comes from the top. It really does.
Mm.
Maybe even as high as the mayor, because the police chief works for the mayor. But most of those police officers out there have no idea what goes on behind closed doors of Scientology. Most of them don't. Even people in the department I worked for, back when I used to protest, in the around 2007 to 2009, I would tell these stories to them about what Scientology does and the abuses, and they were shocked. Nobody had any clue what Scientology was about. Nobody. And I can guarantee you, these officers on the streets, the majority of them don't know.
Mm.
Now, there is one possible thing that could be happening too is, these officers, just like deputy sheriffs in my department, they get pretty protective over their overtime. Okay. You have police officers putting their kids through private schools and so on and so forth. And they're working a lot of overtime, whether it's in the field or whether it's at special events. They're going to work it where they can get it because it's time and a half.
Mm.
So a part of it could be that they're protective over this cash cow that they have.
That makes sense. It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Comes down to that money.
All right. Oh, we just did that one.
Wait, I have a thought that's interesting to share. And it has to do with Scientology constantly accusing the protesters of trespassing. Trespassing, Sir Krapitus, I'll ask you, is trespassing something you can get arrested for?
Yes. Now, in California, it's 602 of the Penal Code. It's a misdemeanor, as we all know. If a misdemeanor occurs in the officer's presence, the officer can make the arrest without a private person's arrest. But if the offense did not happen in the officer's presence, they could only take that person into custody via private person's arrest.
Mm.
So yes, they could be arrested for trespassing in those two scenarios.
So here's what I've always been confused about. When I've protested in downtown Clearwater, whenever someone walks into the Fort Harrison Hotel, now realize there's only like 5 or 6 feet of space between the public sidewalk and the door, right?
Right.
But I always follow right behind them. And as soon as they open that door, just wide enough for the person to enter the hotel, I've got my camera up here, and I'm basically, saying something loud enough to be heard by people in the hotel. And the security guard's going, the security guard's like, you're trespassing. And even in the Superpower building, where you actually have to walk up about, maybe 15 feet of stairs to get to the front door, I will follow them up the stairs and I'll put my camera right in the door, and they'll be like, you're trespassing. But never once have they called a police officer to come out and trespass me. So what am I missing here?
That's a good question. I mean, was your arm and your camera crossing the threshold of the door, or were you
never the threshold? Never would I cross the threshold of a door.
Yeah. Then you weren't trespassing, and the security guard knew it. He's just trying to scare you off.
Oh, so even though it's private property, if it's outside the building, I'm not trespassing?
Well, no, I'm sorry. No, if the steps are part of their property, yeah, technically you'd be trespassing if they're telling you so.
And you'd think, like, the reason I mentioned this, the reason I was inspired to even bring this up is because we're talking about police corruption. You would expect police corruption to be biggest in Clearwater, where Scientology is a big fish in a little pond. And yet the police have never even once come out and warned the protesters, cited the protesters, trespassed the protester, not even once. And anyway, I was just wondering whether this trespassing thing is just total BS.
Yeah, it would be interesting to hear what the interaction is between the informant on the phone with the police, because, shortly before I retired, I promoted, I went into a supervisory position inside the station, and basically I was supervising our dispatchers there at the desks, taking all the phone calls. And it wasn't uncommon for me to have to help out because it would just get so busy. So I'd be answering the 911 lines. You'd be surprised at how many calls come across those phone lines that you're sitting there listening to it, and it's total BS. And sometimes, we would just ask the person, okay, well, if they did this and that, then they're really not committing a crime. If they're gone, you should be okay. Are you okay? Yes. Okay. Goodbye. And then we just don't send the deputies out. That happens. I don't know if that's the situation, but yeah, I do find it interesting. Maybe maybe they're afraid of you. I don't know.
They might be. I mean, we are pretty scary people. Look at us. We are terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
You know too much, Aaron.
Yeah, that's facts. Aaron, this one's for you. Is Scientology allowing the elderly to die according to their personal life timeline, or does Scientology give the elderly or disabled a push to cut their losses?
Well, I mean, the biggest push they would give them is maybe an end of life assist, which I got to tell you, to lawyers and police officers sounds very much like a euphemism for assisted suicide, but it's not really. Yeah, there's going to be some stuff coming up soon in the more to say about that later. But yeah, I mean, they do. Well, they also want to get as much work out of them as possible.
Right.
So, they're running out of Sea Org members. They don't. Unless they're just racking up the medical bills, they seem more than willing to just let them die on their own timeline. Yeah,
that's true. Aaron, what ear set are you using? Sins of Scientology wants to know.
I use my Raycon Everyday Earbuds, sponsor of SPTV. Go to buyraycon.com/SPTV for 20% off your Father's Day shopping.
Do you love those? Are they good?
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, the Raycons. All right.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it here first, kids. There you go. Get your Raycons today. Tobias Offerberg. It sounds like it's Swedish. Uferberg. Did Aaron have the honor of trading with the Scottish girl at Flag? Your impersonation of her made me die of laughter. Do you remember that girl that she was like training also to be a word clearer? Did you ever get word cleared by her?
I don't think I did, but the people from Scotland and also from Wales, there was or at least some Welsh people from, I don't know if there's an org in Wales, but some Welsh people from maybe the London org, or I don't remember. Those accents are just the best.
Oh yeah, because I did a whole thing, like I had to get M4'd by her, right? Which is where you point at a section, like a paragraph or something, guys. And I sat down and we picked a policy that I'd never read. So we're totally doing it squarely because this is when we were just trying to like get people through all this stuff. Aaron, do you remember that when we became in charge of the training for everybody? That was fun times. So I sat down and she's like, all right, squeeze the cons, please. And I just started laughing. I'm trying to like get through it. All right, take a deep breath. Hold it for just a moment and let it out through your mouth. I'm not auditing you. On this page, is there anything you didn't fully get? Dying the whole time. She was
no.
And she was teeny tiny, guys. She was like not even 5 feet tall, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think I had the pleasure.
Oh no, she was great. You would have died. You would have absolutely died. Kathy Cross says, seems like the arrests always occur on Friday nights to make sure they stay in jail over the weekend. Is that a strategery, Sir Crepitus?
It's a very good possibility, and I'll tell you why. Actually, I was just talking to somebody about this at Big Blue last night. I was over there, and I can honestly say, when I was in the field, and I did this one time, we had a particularly troubling individual that we always had problems with, and they committed a minor offense, a misdemeanor on a Friday night.
Mm.
And normally on a weekday, we probably wouldn't have taken that person to jail. But we realized, gosh, it's Friday night, we got Saturday, Sunday, Monday's a holiday. Shit, he'll be in jail till, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. This will give us a break from him for a week. So, I do find that very, very interesting and suspicious that virtually almost every arrest has been on a Friday or Saturday night.
Yeah.
So
I think it's on purpose.
Like somebody is picking and choosing when to call the cops and on who. It really does feel that way.
I just remember there's a huge new connection exposed between the LAPD and Scientology that I have not revealed yet, only because every day I'm like, which videos am I going to do today? And I don't even get around to a fraction of the ones that I want to do.
Do we have some breaking news, Aaron? Go for it.
Jim Meskimen's mother is responsible for Timmy Tallman's scholarship to college when he was in college. Yes. He auditioned at San Diego State, whatever college he went to it because he auditioned for a particular scholarship, and he was picked by Jim Meskimen's mother and awarded the
For people who
scholarship.
don't know who Jim Meskimen's mom is, she was the mom on Happy Days.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
There's a video. There's a video. It's a
Meskimen's
TikTok. I'm going to do a video about the TikTok of Timmy Tallman there next with his arm around Jim Meskimen while Jim Meskimen's wearing a Way to Happiness shirt, and he's got a stack of Way to Happiness booklets, and they're talking about their shared love of the theater. Timmy has performed at every live venue in Los Angeles, and he thanks Marion Ross, Jim Meskimen's mom, for selecting him for the scholarship that allowed him to go to college.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's actually really big.
That's crazy.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's actually huge.
Yeah. It just ties in that whole bias that he has in favor of Scientology even stronger. It just really cements it.
That's nuts a doodles. Oh my God. Also, question for you, and you tell me how this is my probable theory. Okay, because people are wondering why the protesters are getting snatched up so quickly by cops, right? Because they will call for an incident, not necessarily with a cop, but they'll call the police office station or 911 for help for something, right? Like when Confident Chris got attacked and all these other things. And then cops don't show up. They're just not showing up. However, it seems Scientology calls and they're there like in 3 seconds. Now, I put out a theory that they have the phone numbers of a lot of these cops because of the off-duty work that they are giving them in other times. So my theory is that they are calling these cops on their cell phone. The cop is then getting it. Then the cop calls into dispatch via their car radio and says, hey, I've got a whatever the code is in progress at such and such address. I need backup. And then that's how we get 6 cars rolling up at one time at, these addresses like instantly. Would that be a way for Scientology to get around misusing the 911 system? Because that is a crime to misuse 911.
It is a very good possibility considering, Scientology tactics. I wouldn't be surprised, but I would say if that's going on, the officers that are receiving those cell phone calls are the dumbest people on the planet because they're basically using their personal cell phones for law enforcement business. That makes their phone records open to discovery on criminal cases. So, when you look at a police officer's cell phone records, I mean, you could even be looking at text messages. How many sensitive or private text messages do you think that officer would have on his phone that those attorneys are going to be looking at?
Yeah.
So, this officer would be very stupid to do something like that. Very stupid.
Yeah, because I'm just wondering how they get there so quickly for Scientology. Do you know what I mean? Like, why are they a priority versus someone who's literally been attacked and is bleeding on the street? Why is Scientology calling in false guns, false, bomb threats, false all these things? Why is that a priority? And someone who's calling 911 saying, I just got attacked, please help me. And there's literally a cop down the block they can see and they're trying to flag them down and they don't stop.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Now, it would be really important to hear the interaction between the 911 caller and the LAPD representative on the other end of the phone, because there are times, and we dealt with this all the time in law enforcement, where something major is happening. Somebody could be even dying, but the informant calling 911 isn't giving enough information. They're being very vague, or maybe they're downplaying it. So it seems like less of a priority to the police when they're hearing this on the phone.
Right.
But what the dispatchers should be doing is asking this informant specific questions as to injuries. Are they conscious? Are they breathing? Those questions are really important. And if those questions aren't being answered, lots of times they're going to get inaccurate information from the informant. Now, the issue with somebody trying to flag down the police car and the police car just keeps on driving, either A, the officer didn't see him, or B, and I have seen this happen on my department, with my own eyes, deputies will purposely get tunnel vision because they don't want to get flagged down. Maybe it's towards the end of shift. It's a horrible thing. And let me tell you, I can't tell you how many times I was flagged down by somebody, like literally when it's the end of my shift, I'm rolling into the station. And because I'm getting flagged down, now I inherit this major incident. And now I'm working like 18 hours.
Right.
Officers don't, most officers don't like that. And so, yeah, they will selectively get tunnel vision. Like, I don't see you. And they'll just keep on driving.
Right.
Not all of them do that, but from time to time it does happen. It's pretty sad.
Yeah. It just, it just seems funky to me. I mean, people have brought that up for quite a while now.
Yeah.
Peter Foster wants to know, how do you feel about the idea of the protest employing a group of LAPD for a few days like Scientology does? Aaron, what do you feel? What do you think about that?
I don't know if they can. So here's my only the only thing I can compare.
No.
So the only thing I can compare it to is this: here in Clearwater, Florida, and Sir Crappers, let me know if what your thoughts are on this. There's an approval process that you have to. Oh wait, you know what? We're talking about two different things. We're talking about hiring cops for off-duty security, and we're talking about on-duty work. In Clearwater, Florida, there's an approval process that any organization has to go through in order to be on the list of organizations that are allowed to hire police for off-duty work. Once you're on that list, they can't really say no to you. If you're not on that list, they can't say yes to you. Scientology is on that list, as are all the churches and tons of, whatever big businesses. So, the protesters aren't on that list, for example. But I don't know. Is that how the LAPD does it?
The LAPD, I'm not 100% sure. The department I worked for, we didn't have a list like that. They left it up to each unit commander's discretion as to whether or not they would be willing to send deputies on a contract basis for security. I'm not sure how LAPD does it, but that question, I can almost guarantee you, you won't see a police agency ever allow a contract from protesters to hire police officers to come work security. It'll never happen. The liability is just too big.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah. Comment here from Mandy Me. Pearl Snappy does a great job in Austin filing reports and dealing with cops. I agree. Love me some Pearl Snappy. 91 me. Question, isn't there very strong proof of RICO case by now? Would Scientology automatically lose their tax exempt status from it?
No one automatically loses the tax exempt status for any particular reason. It would have to maybe some dominoes get set into, you start falling, some wheels get set into motion. Nothing is automatic when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah.
Not even a criminal prosecution would make it automatic.
True. Rainy Day Puddles wants to know, should someone be filing FOIA requests for body cam footage for any incident?
Yes. Anybody can file a FOIA request. I can tell you from firsthand knowledge, getting LAPD to honor a FOIA request is really hard. They don't play well. They don't even play well with other law enforcement agencies.
Wow.
LA County Sheriffs and LAPD used to have a great relationship back in the day. They used to share data about gangs, crime statistics, and organized crime and stuff like that. Well, LAPD's pretty much cut everybody off. They're saying, no, you're not getting our data anymore.
Wow.
There's almost no cooperation with them anymore.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Comment here from TB. Congressman Adam Schiff supports Scientology. Unfortunately, that is true. RB Blair. Can SPTV Foundation collect donations into a general legal defense fund for protesters? #Free Michael.
No, we are not going to get involved in funding legal actions.
There we go. Caroline A. If they are on duty at the Big Blue during events, shouldn't they use their body cameras? Why did they have no body cams when they arrested Michael? I think we covered that earlier.
Yeah.
That was a weird one. But yes, the answer to that, Caroline, is that yes, they should have their body cams on with them at all times. Susie G, thank you for the super chat. Did LAPD sign a contract with Scientology to cover the event, who decides which events are covered? Would this be a public record, or is Scientology billed by the police department? So you partially covered that before, but is there like a decision-making process?
If LAPD has a list similar to what Aaron was describing, then no, there would be no approval process. But the permits, of course, are public information. I think there's actually an online portal you can go to look at the permits.
Okay.
You can see who requested the permit and who approved it. The city of Los Angeles does give LAPD some discretion on approving those permits. LAPD can approve some of those permits themselves if they want to.
Okay.
But yeah.
Perfect. Janelle asks, was it possible the arrest was strategic to disrupt the protest by distracting them with Michael's arrest? It sure looked like that sergeant was looking for the smallest provocation to exploit.
My opinion is no.
Okay.
I think everything that sergeant did was 100% reactionary based on his temperament.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just don't see any kind of distraction going on. I really think the sergeant just lost his temper, which he shouldn't have done, and he took it too far.
Okay. Days by Dogs wants to know, if I wanted to learn more about protest laws in my area, El Paso, Texas, any idea where I could start researching?
That is a good one. I would probably. Wow, that's a tough one. I don't know.
I mean, I Googled it here for Portland because I know there was like, I got a bullhorn, and then somebody in my chat who's here local was like, oh, you can't use that bullhorn here. And I was like, what? So I was like, I had to Google protest ordinances in the Portland metro area. And sure enough, they were right. You cannot use a bullhorn, amplified voice system here in the Portland metro area without a permit. You have to have a permit for that. So
yeah, people may want to start searching their own city's municipal codes, or whichever city they plan on protesting in. These databases are really hard to search. They're so clumsy, but they're out there. But you have city municipal codes, but then also you have penal codes in your state that may pertain to protesting also. And it's up to each individual state, and every state's different, very different in some cases.
For sure. Question: Can the U.S. District Attorney investigate the abuse of the LAPD and their relationship with Scientology? Oh, they can investigate anything they want. I mean, that would be.
If actually, who would be the first ones to investigate would be the FBI.
Okay.
Yeah, the FBI would investigate something like that.
I have drunk this whole bottle of water during this live. This is like 30. How many ounces in here? This is 30 ounces, guys, of water that I've consumed during this live. I'm going to have to reach to the fridge here in a minute to get a frosty beverage. Jen Nelson, member for 3 months. Thank all three of you for answering all the questions. You are very welcome. It is our pleasure. Quilting B, are people applying for the LAPD required to go through a psych eval before they can be hired?
Yes, they are required. There was a period of time where, for whatever reason, people were slipping through the cracks and weren't getting psych exams. The same went for my department. When I got hired, I never got a psych exam. For some reason, I just never got it. But some people do slip through the cracks, but it is a requirement. As a matter of fact, it's a requirement by the state of California, Peace Officers Standards of Training. So if a police department is skipping the psych eval, they're violating the law.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. I did see Bo Beats. I'm not ignoring anybody's super chats or non-super chats. I'm literally going through all of these. I have like 134 things starred. So I'm going to get to your question. Everybody, please be patient. Please wait in line.
It looks like they're getting ready for something.
Uh-oh. We're getting ready. Guys, we may not get to all these, but let me pull up the supers here. Sushiful gifted 5 memberships to my channel. Thank you. Thinking about it. Thank you for your super chat. How do we subscribe to Sir Crepitus? Do you have a channel, sir?
Yes, sir. It's at Marcab_recon.
At Marcab_recon. We'll put that up in the chat here in a minute. That is how you get to Sir Crepidus. Dave's Deep Dives, member for 2 months, 3:30 over in Amsterdam. But unlike the door, the conversation is riveting. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Bo Beats. Sir Crepidus, can you speak of Bill 1193 requiring hotels a la CC display a large anti-trafficking poster at the entrance? Could protesters use this law?
I am not knowledgeable of Bill 1193. If you want to email me, if you go to my YouTube page, email me. I'll be happy to research it for you and get back to you.
We're coming out.
We're going sound.
I'm not about Daniel. That's what made me angry.
Here he
is.
Free Michael.
I know Serge is going to put his arms around him.
God
Can't hear you.
How you doing, man? Oh my God!
He's free! Oh my goodness, this is so cute. Did you see how he came out?
He was hiding from
us. Last one in line. So cute.
Oh man.
You
got me.
Oh my God.
Free Michael.
I mean, the sexiest man come out of jail, period.
He's too sexy to be in jail.
The whole city knows.
Who took him down?
I was like, they sat there and they said I slugged them.
No.
Oh Lord.
No. And no.
You shoved them. Oh Lord. Ah, damn.
No way.
I was like, get the.
No.
I was ready. I wanted to go up and say I'm not guilty because I did not slug him. And I wanted the judge. I said, "You want to have an experience of your life? Come on."
Yeah.
They tore it up before I even got there.
Yeah. No. The bailiff
you look
literally.
tougher now.
The bailiff pulled out me. Yeah.
Yeah, you did your push-ups in there.
Exactly, right here.
Damn.
Actually, I did. I did sleep slow.
Everybody in all the chat like, oh my God. We love you.
I could hold it for you if you want.
Everybody, every day, like, oh my God.
We're going to switch to Sergio's channel here.
Just a moment.
If any of you have Michael's phone number,
I was trying not to.
you might want to reach out to him and tell him don't talk about what happened on video. Do not talk about it.
Let me.
I knew Michael was meditating.
Yeah. You gotta meditate. That's the only thing I'll do.
And you could hear us, or
I could hear you guys out here. I could hear, and they're like, then someone came out and yelled at you or something like that. Don't be yelling at my buddies.
Oh my God.
No, yeah. They said whatever they said, we didn't care. Just we'll scream louder. Oh my God, Michael.
God bless those guys.
But don't make us cry, man.
You know, poor Michael
because I'm calling.
Didn't get any sleep that whole time when he was in there.
I'm sure he didn't.
It's so loud in there 24/7. It's impossible to sleep. Yeah, I'm just worried about Michael talking about what happened because, anything shared on here can be used if they decide to file later. Anyways, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put a...
No. That's good advice.
Hello. I'm on the line there and I got to go.
I was like, what the fuck, right? And then they're like, we're going to have the ambulance.
Sorry about that.
These guys, right?
No, you're
I
good.
said, no, have them come down the street. They go, it won't fit. I said, well, that's a permit.
Literally a violation. Absolutely.
Yeah.
No matter if you have a
Don't
permit
foul
or not.
You have to have it.
And what happened? They made it come down the other
You
side.
make it come down because I'm not getting in your police car, getting in and out and getting in the ambulance.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
The amount of accountability.
So can we ask you, like, was it fine for, like,
Yeah, I got
we're,
you.
we're all freaking out for you because I felt like I should have been in there, not you. Like, for whatever that
Chris.
is, like, was it hard for you? Were they nice to you? Was it okay?
No, it was okay.
I don't have Chris's number.
Oh no, I thought they would.
I haven't slept. I haven't slept because I could not live it.
Potty has not.
No, yeah.
Like supermodel. I can't believe that, Mike. Literally, it looks like he just took a walk on the beach.
You weren't arrested. You were
kidnapped. So beautiful.
You guys
We're glad he's in good spirits right now, though.
No, yeah. No, this
So
is
you
really
knew
good
we
to
were
see
like,
that
where is he?
he's
Okay.
healthy and he's not in pain or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
And it's so funny. I sat there to the camera in the
I learned
room.
my lesson.
I said, "You hear that? That's my family."
Well, it's on live,
No
so.
idea who they are.
I know that, Chris. You silly boy.
All they need to do is just ask him not to talk about the incident. Do that off camera.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't said
On the
anything about
neck.
it yet, has he?
He's a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit, but nothing bad.
No, it was crazy, but it was just like, you know what? At first I was going nuts, and then finally I just said, Danny, you know this. You know it better than I do. You know, I sat there and I said, Michael, meditate. And I sat there in my bed.
This too
That's
shall
what he
pass.
said. That's what you said.
And I did this, and I couldn't sleep because my legs and my back is killing me. I had to go get my.
Imagine.
I'm just like.
That's why I was saying that. I was like, I'm thinking they gave you some pad or something legally if they had to because you're handicapped.
They were like shitty, and
They didn't care.
they don't care.
I'm texting. And Chris isn't listening to me. Do you have Chris's number, Aaron?
Yeah.
Because I know he can see the.
Yeah.
You know how I really feel about people that betray people.
Yeah, I'm texting Serge, and Chris has his phone, so I know he's
Could
seeing
not
the
believe it.
text.
And, okay, no, not trying to make
mean, it's
it light
okay.
or joke around.
Guys, he's live.
Standing up.
They're saying Nora's call is really
And
important.
he was
They're
trying to get you
Your
fucking
chat.
down, and he was trying to trip you. Get
Yeah,
you
well,
down.
that's what I'm saying. That's why I told them. All right, guys, we're not taking phone calls right now.
It's
Here, I'll just mention in Chris's chat.
This little egotistical cop couldn't even get somebody down.
Oh, and then one of the OSA assholes comes out with his camera and takes pictures.
Oh yeah.
there's like 7 people filming this live, including the guy in the bandana, who I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
Hey, they're saying not to talk about the incident in camera. That's all they say.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Wait until you talk to your lawyers.
Unless we're all right.
Good job.
But anyway, so guys, thank you so much for being here. We got a bit of things out.
Finally.
Oh,
I'm just trying to protect Michael just in case something gets misconstrued or said.
Yes. Thank
yeah,
you
it's
for
on
that.
camera, guys. I mean,
Thank you. I
it's on
appreciate
camera. It's
this
not like.
moment. Yeah, we just anytime, this is like we need like a little Sir Crepitus, we need you to host like a protest 101. Like school, what to say, what not to say. If you are arrested, here's the thing that you should demand, and all this stuff, because this is super important information
Got it back.
that we as regular citizenry, outside of one class maybe in high school, don't know this information on what we should or shouldn't say to law enforcement. And then in situations like this, when we've been released, with no charges, what can then get us into the water,
Yeah.
Nora, the quality of your something dipped with your audio.
Something dipped with my audio.
Is it just me, Sir Crepitus? Did you notice it?
Maybe because I had the stream up so loud. I don't know.
Yeah, Michael.
All right, tell them.
Guys, soon before we leave, before we go to the next place.
Don't let him scare you.
Bye, Michael.
Bye, Michael. We love you.
God bless you, man.
Bye. We all need it.
Bye, Sir. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Michael's gonna sleep for days.
Right. He absolutely is. All right. Let me just get to these last super chats here. There's 2 of them. Vicky Gilligan, what do you think happened to the guys working outside last night that heard the Xenu story from L. Ron's mouth? Do you think they were spoken to about that from Scientology?
I don't know. I feel like, what would they, what kind of speaking to would they get?
Yeah, I mean, I think they would probably be told don't repeat that because it's lies and black PR. You know,
Yeah,
like
squirrel info.
Exactly. So many levels. Thanks so much for the super chat. Not Mrs. Cunningham. Oh no, Nora, was Marion Ross a Scientologist? Aaron did answer that in the chat. That is a yes. We can't even have our favorite classic TV shows anymore. No, you cannot. No. Scientology has touched a lot of people, guys. One time at CC, I'll tell the story super quickly before we go because we've been here 3 hours, guys. 3 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. One time the stats were down, morale was totally shitty. So Dave Pettit had the file folder tech dig out every single PC folder from our archives that had a celebrity name on it and put them in this huge display in the middle of crew dining, and then had this rallying cry and like opened up specific celebrities folders who probably had like one service. They never did anything else. They were not Scientologists. They never declared themselves Scientologists, and was like, look at this person. Here's the date of their one session. And then they went on to perform in this Oscar-winning film, and like try to like associate every single tiny Scientological thing that had been in this person's life. Like, that's why they went on to succeed. And in my mind, I was going, but they didn't stay in Scientology.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No, it was just like they will take us anything and make it a statistic. Aaron knows that. We know that. I mean, anything can be put on a graph and made to look pretty, you know.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's crazy. Oh my God, guys, this was awesome. This was
a lot of fun.
This was amazing. I'm so glad that Michael is out. He's with Sir Crepitus. Again, you are a fountain of knowledge. I appreciate you so much for being here. Aaron, my friend, always, it's a great time. We had a great time. This was, I feel like live breaking news coverage, like we're cub reporters on the scene discussing all the stuff. But please like and subscribe to everybody here to at Growing Up in Scientology for Aaron. And Sir Crepitus is at Marcab _ what's the second half?
Recon.
At Marcab, MARCAB _ recon, Sir Crepitus. Give him a subscribe and a like, and we'll see you guys all on the flippity dip.
Take care.